Hello, hello, we're back.
In the closet, I guess.
Are we not?
You're about to crunch that right now, aren't you? Why don't you just lean into the microphone while you crunch that cereal? Come on.
We're doing ASMR.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
It's
No,
okay,
come
I've
on.
got one left.
Just come on, get right in the mics.
No,
and
get
real close.
No,
Do
I'm
it
not
slowly.
Gonna do that to people.
Do it really slowly. Now tap on your cheeks with your nails.
No, I'm not going to do that
You
either.
can't do that.
Look at the waves that those crunches got.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like those waves are what give people sexy ASMR tingles.
Right,
That's what we're doing. We're doing sexy ASMR tingles.
No, we're here to talk about the night in question.
Yeah.
Round 2.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
way sexier.
We got to go in this year and again this year, and it was great.
Well,
I had infinitely more fun, I think, this
Yeah,
year than last year in a lot of
enjoyed
ways.
this one a lot more.
With the exception of one single thing, which we'll talk about.
we'll talk about it. But first, we'll go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping.
In regards to what?
Well, we haven't been able to get into the closet in quite a while for recording purposes.
Okay, so allow me to explain.
Mhm.
So allow me to explain that I haven't put anything up in 2 months because I was doing a chemistry class, and chemistry's hard, guys. It took up a lot of time, and I was honestly very, very sad. That being said, though, I am getting into things now that I have graduated. I'm done.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm educated.
Our work, they're just general work schedules had changed around and, made it difficult to find a time where one of us wasn't either asleep or at work.
Yeah, I'm a real vampire now.
Yeah.
I wake up at 2 a.m. and everything takes place in the dark, and then I come home at noon to sleep.
Mhm.
So I'm a real vampire now, and that has also just affected
Our ability to
record.
and
I talk.
get things going and talk or see each other
Yeah,
ever.
that's tough.
In any case, we do have a guest here with us who attended the night in question with us.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi.
Go ahead, Dee.
This is Dee.
channel artist.
Yeah, if you've ever seen any of the amazing art on our channel, Dee has done pretty much all of it, I'd
Almost
say.
all of it up until
Very
this
recently.
point. Yeah, up until very recently.
So we got Dee to come along with us, and Dee had a great time.
I heard there was going to be a blood shower, and I forgot about being shy. I forgot about being anxious. The only thing I could think about was Blade and being Blade. That is not what happened to me. I was not Blade.
I'm glad that you went in there with the hopes that maybe
you
can
might
be Blade.
channel Wesley Snipes.
I feel like I might have channeled just a little bit. I felt like not paying my taxes just a tiny bit. I was like, you know what? Billionaires don't pay this much in taxes.
We are
our gain is very
loud.
good.
We are very loud. So what we're going to do is we're going to try lowering it down a little bit again. So, we should talk about, of course, the first step in our night in question journey, which was, we bought our tickets with the hope of becoming vampires.
Yeah, we sure did.
I did not.
So Dee knew from the get-go, like Bloodbag, come on.
Yeah, you were going to play Bloodbag.
Because last year there was a critically low amount of blood bags. I recall actually standing in line, like I'm at a fucking supermarket, waiting for the chance to bite on this dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's
just like blood bags are just sitting there. They've got
checking
lines
people
forming,
out.
checking people out. Hey, you want to go ahead and kill me real
Do
quick?
you want any cigarettes?
Yeah.
Very, very good for immersion. The sabbat cues to get to the juice boxes. I mean, read the guide to the sabbat. It's in there.
Yeah. So, I recall specifically waiting in Austin traffic after clinicals to buy mine, my tickets. I recall very clearly because, like most Austin traffic, it was so slow that I could just browse on my phone.
Was able to do things.
So I had gotten my early bird tickets, it was like as soon as they were available, because I had such a baller time that I was like, I'm buying these right now. I'm pretty sure you bought yours pretty soon.
Yeah, I bought
after that
mine.
as well.
I bought mine like right after you bought yours.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because everyone was like fresh off of that high. I want to say it was in early spring.
Yeah,
that I bought mine.
And so we got our tickets pretty early, and we were hoping that our spots would open up quick enough to get a vampire, but you know, it was not meant to be.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
So I definitely feel like if you guarantee 100% want to, you just need to get the war pack.
Yep.
Which we're, putting all of our eggs in some baskets because I'd really love to have that opportunity. But we ended up getting like normal people.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking through the characters. So when I got my email, it was 2 a.m. at my work, and
you got your first pick of the litter, huh?
Yeah, when I went in there, the only things that were like definitely taken were it was that gang that Jason Carl was a part of.
Oh yeah.
Like there was one spot left on there, and I legit really thought about it, but then I thought Jason Carl might be on that one, and I got nervous and was like, no, it was 100%. It was a coward thing. I was eating instant ramen out of a Tupperware. What was the character
concept? Do you remember?
It was like some tough guy bullshit, and I didn't think I had the chops for it.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd probably get stage fright, and I wouldn't want to like. I don't want Jason Carl's gang to be like have one lame enforcer. They'd kill me first, which might have been fun, but
that might have been. Okay.
That could have been fun to play with a good dynamic.
It could have been, but I didn't. I thought about joining the. It ended up being what Scott and his group were in, where the lab rats.
The drug dealers.
I put some real thought into joining that one, but was like, I don't know. And eventually, after kind of browsing through everything at 3 a.m, I settled on the one that I chose. And I'm trying to remember what it's. I think it was like I was like the Burnout or something like that. Where my character concept was, used to be like a different person, but you've changed now, and you're spiraling towards a final end.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are stuck in some sort of rut trying to forget the person you used to be.
Gotcha.
And I probably should have also, I'll talk about that later, but I was happy with that. I was like, you know what? I think I could roleplay that. I think I can roleplay someone who used to be really lame in high school, and then I left high school and started buying my own clothes and only wore black and cut my hair and stopped talking to people from my hometown.
You think you could play that? You think you could tap into that?
I think I was able.
That seems a little distant. I don't know if you can access that. That's completely out of your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I really had to go to places I've never been before mentally in order to perform this part.
Yeah, there was no way to method act this.
There was no way for me to method act it, except, I did. But that's kind of what I ended up choosing at 3 a.m. How did it go for you? Do you remember?
So I remember I was at work when the note went out for my group to get their characters picked, and so I went through and I was like, man, I already know that one group has picked all of theirs, and so I was in kind of a hurry. I just wanted to make sure I got a good one, so I grabbed the first good one the first one that I thought would be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the psychic vampire.
Tell me about it.
The psychic vampire is not a vampire in any sense of the word. He is just a guy who thinks he is a vampire, and so I was like, yeah, that sounds fun, whatever. I picked it, and as we started getting a little closer to the date, I was a little bit like, man, maybe I shouldn't have picked this one. This one, I might regret it a little bit. I don't know about this. Like, it's funny, and I'm sure I'll be able to have fun. Like, the only goal I went in with, once I knew what my character concept was that I wanted to talk down to a real vampire about what it's really like to be a real vampire.
Oh, God. I wish I could have been there for that.
Yeah, I did get to do that. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that was the character concept I went with, and it was pretty good. What about you, D?
All right, I fucked around for a long time on mine because I figured, well, I'm a blood bag. I don't really have a character. I misunderstood. I went into LARP Weaver to make my character. There weren't a lot left, but there was one, and the second I saw it, I understood that concept called to me. It connected to me in a very real way that I've never experienced before. That character concept was the anxious wreck. Playing this character and playing a blood bag in general enabled me to really leverage my only talent, which is I cry
Crying?
very easily. I cry at the drop of the hat. I'm not really hurt, I'm just crying. And so I thought, yeah, definitely. That'll definitely, help with the immersion.
Mm-hmm.
These vampires can murder me and I'll just start crying because I'm feeling very intense. Well, I signed up for her, and then it started asking me about, hey, so when you're a vampire, I got confused. I was like,
the characters were there for everybody.
Anyone to grab.
So,
I didn't. Once I understood that, I got into contact with
Matthew Webb.
with Matt Webb and everything, and was like, hey, did I accidentally get in for a actual real character? Because I don't want to take anybody's spot, and I didn't pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, everybody got the sort of
It's probably just
talk.
So blood bags could
integrate with a group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I integrated with a group, and honestly, excellent.
Yeah. So we all had our characters, and then I recall I did a lot of shopping to prep for it.
You did.
I I was supposed to play like a sexy party girl, and I was like, okay, what the fuck am I gonna wear? So I legit spent about 2 months going to places that'll carry clothes in my size. Every time they changed out their, like, I don't know what you would call it,
Their
Collection.
their collection, and trying on all sorts of stuff before I eventually settled on what I got. I bought a wig. I researched into
Learned how to do
glue
lace
works.
fronts.
Mhm.
I got this is how I imagine people who can sew and are creative when they assemble their LARP characters.
Mhm.
I finally felt that when I was sitting there making wild attempts to cut lace front wigs. And I was just when it was finally good and it was finally perfect, I was like, I have become her.
Mhm.
And I truly stepped into the character while in my bathroom. And from there on, did you guys shop for stuff? I recall
No,
Dee did.
I did.
not. I was just like, I've got a bunch of old goth clothes. I could be
that's
a
true.
psychic vampire.
Oh yeah, you sure did.
Yeah, I dressed up because they described I was the anxious wreck, and part of my backstory was being from Hippie Hollow. If you don't know what Hippie Hollow is, it's a neighborhood here in Austin where a bunch of rich people live, very wealthy, eccentric people, and they live there because there is a nudist beach there. And so I was also part of the local flavor, and they said, cowboys and hippies are together in Austin. I was like, okay, so I'm a cowboy hippie. Sweet. I understand now. I understand everything. So I bought a cowboy hat. I bought a fringed vest.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm thinking about incorporating gay cowboy into my repertoire more because I'm already a gay goth. I could do gay cowboy as my wardrobe.
I'll be honest, when I first saw you in the whole outfit, I was like, I knew instantly what your character was. You were wearing so much turquoise.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shoot, you're from Lake Travis, aren't you?
Yeah, my mom wanted to help out. She knows a lot about a lot about Vampire the Masquerade,
yeah.
and so when I said
That's
I was
weird.
shopping for clothes and jewelry, she tried to give me some of her jewelry because she
has that
classic
same cowboy
Texas
aesthetic.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, please don't give me real turquoise. I'm going to splatter it in fake blood, and I'm going to
I don't
roll
wanna be
around in the
responsible.
dirt, and there's going to be strangers grabbing at me. I'm not going to break your jewelry, Mom.
Yeah. But yeah, your outfit was pretty great. We this year, instead of, we actually got a room at the hotel proper this year,
Yeah,
Last
instead
year-
of the one that was
catty
down the
corner.
road a little bit.
right next to Greg's Liquors or whatever his
Clint's Liquors?
Clint's Liquors. So being in the hotel itself was definitely fun. We drove down there. I had come fresh off of work. I got home. We had our bags
you were
packed
up for a long time.
Oh yeah, I was
Not a human.
Scott offered me red line, and I'd never had red line before, and I was like, maybe I should take it. I didn't, because I'm powerful, and I was so high off of the adrenaline that I was up for 24 hours. So
yeah, you were up for about 24 hours.
I was up. If anybody met me that Friday, it was that Friday. If anyone met me that Friday,
that's not her.
No, it was me. I like to imagine the high, the adrenaline high of being awake that long.
Was that your true
made
self?
Me powerful.
The shadow, the true self?
A delirious state of being.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh yeah, people are here and they're vampires now, and you can't tell what's real from what's fiction. And
yeah.
And so then we did the workshops.
that wasn't that day, was it?
Yeah. There was
no, you're absolutely right.
Character workshop was on Friday.
Yeah, we went there. We checked into our hotel. We're in the hotel this time. We don't have to walk. I thought about taking a nap. I really did think about missing the first half of those workshops.
Character workshop.
But
so
then Scott was like, hey, we're here. And I'm like, guys, I have to go down.
Yeah,
I understand that I'm tired, but I have a small window of time to talk to Scott, and I'm not giving it up for anything.
Yeah.
So we do go down. We see him. We see Matthew. I saw McKenna like immediately, and it was so nice to see them.
To see your vampire group.
It was so good for me.
Very cool to meet them in person.
Yeah,
I know.
Gosh. I've listened to their podcast, Polyhedron.
Oh yeah,
which you should look up. It's a really good podcast.
So getting to see them,
and so getting to see them and hang out and stuff
was
a lot of cool.
Well, I had a lot of fun at the workshop. So from what I recall, and mind you, I was up for a long time, my memory, tiny bit hazy. You guys might have to help me with this. So I recall at the workshops that night, we mostly did character creation, right? We didn't touch any rules.
Yeah, we didn't touch any rules.
Did character
it was just character stuff.
Do you guys remember all the different I remember some of the exercises we did. Do you want to talk about the character building exercises?
The walking workshops were shockingly informative and fun.
Yeah, we did there was one where we kind of like had to walk it was kind of like all right, walk as your character. And so we're all kind of walking around this little ballroom and in a circle, and everybody's just kind of walking and passing themselves. Now, walk as your character if they're angry.
Yeah.
Walk as your character if they're ready to kill somebody.
Do you guys feel like that helped you a lot? How did you
it actually did, because it helped me externalize a lot of the things that would be internal, and you would just say, oh, well, I'm slumped over during a tabletop game. It forced me to sort of externalize those things. So like just theater acting, it was teaching you how to be a theater actor.
Yeah, that one's stuff that I kind of just do off of instinct anyway. The one that I really liked was there's the one where, there's the middle of the room, there's the left side of the room, and there's the right side of the room, and it represents like a scale of 1 to a spectrum of 1 to 10, and he asks you a question, and wherever your character falls on that spectrum is where you move to.
That I do find informative, because it does make me think about things that I might not have thought about
considered
otherwise. But
yeah.
The only thing I think I had trouble with on that one was I never knew what side of the room to go to, because I'm very short and I can't see over the crowd. And if tall people are obscuring Matt Webb, I have no idea what's happening.
I think the one that I liked the most was when we went off into our own separate groups.
Oh, the hot seat?
And the hot seat.
Yeah, the hot seat was
really, really
good. Next year, they just need to devote more time to the fucking hot seat.
Yeah.
Because that, especially in your groups, because, you can get to know some of them online and you can chat, because I chatted briefly with some of my people, but that gave me, and to see them talk in person about how they feel about what they're going to do, gave me a clear image of who these characters were going to be. And I loved that hot seat. We did not have enough time to get to me and one other girl.
Yeah, same with our group. We missed people.
We missed. Yeah, we didn't have enough time to finish ours, but we got together afterwards and did it anyway.
Yes.
Because we were like, yeah, no, this is good. This is a really valuable thing.
So good.
And basically the idea of the hot seat is that every player gets to kind of interrogate you for about 3 minutes about your character, and you just answer your questions about your character honestly.
I would say that I had an easier time coming up with questions for some people. I felt like I needed a little longer to talk to each member of my group to come up with good, meaningful questions. Because for one character, God, I raked that poor man over the coals, the meanest questions you could possibly imagine. And then for another, I was like, so how's your relationship with your mom?
Yeah, there were a couple like that, definitely. But of all the exercises, I find the hot seat. Good job, Matt Webb. That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, that one was amazing.
Good job. Staff of the night in question in general.
Oh God,
the staff was stellar. After we did that,
we got to go to this sort of.
We went to the fancy little dinner.
Let's talk about how cold it was outside first.
I
feel like it's very important to talk about how I thought to myself, I'm wearing a long sleeve sweater dress. I'll be fine.
Wrong.
Big wrong.
Yeah, it was like 30, 35 degrees, something like that.
It was cold as hell.
It's really
cold. The restaurant was in downtown Bastrop, and it
Beautiful.
is so cute down there.
Yeah.
They kind of ushered us into like a separate little like party room and everything. And that's when we sort of got to sit and eventually eat and talk to all of our friends. Yeah, the staff was so friendly and so nice, but they didn't give them enough people to help.
Yeah.
And so they struggled to accommodate the amount of people because it was at like a little reception like room, but it was packed.
Yeah,
there was a lot of people.
Packed. I think that the staff themselves did not expect this many people to be there.
The guy I was talking to, because me and him spent a lot of time talking like, hey, where's my food? Hey, where's my drinks? I eventually had to go to the bar to get a drink. He was like, I told my manager that I needed more people, and he did not listen to me. And I was like, that is the big mood of working in the food industry.
Yeah, and so they were underprepared, but in the end, I didn't care so much because I kind of got to hang out with people who I didn't have an opportunity to hang out with before.
Yeah.
I got to finally sit down with Matthew and apologize to him for everything I do in Burn It Down, because I am endlessly apologetic for making him endure anything. Yeah. And I got to talk to Ryan from the podcast.
That was super cool.
Yeah, it was super cool because I never spoken to or interacted with Ryan at all. Except listening to
the podcast.
The podcast.
Yeah.
But Ryan is very funny and very quick. And I got to have we definitely got to see Alex Ward and all of them.
Shared an elevator ride with him briefly.
Yeah.
I am actually blocking that from my memory. But we're back in the room eating, and I did get
He signed the Nosferatu card.
He signed a Nosferatu playing card I had, and I have it right now, and I treasure it very much so. Because Jasper is my favorite character from the LA by Night story. I got that. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, Scott laughed at my Sasha Vykos joke, and honestly, I can die now. I've interacted with Vampire the Masquerade as much as I need to. Scott laughed at my Vykos joke.
You just levitate into the sky.
I've never felt a purer joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we sat around, talked shop and stuff.
Oh yeah.
We got to kind of like shoot the shit, meet
Jason
some people.
Carl came by
Jason
and
Carl
asked
came
us
by.
how we were. And
yep.
Jason Carl's so nice.
Yeah.
So then after that, we had a adventure getting back to the hotel because for some reason in Bastrop, There's one Uber driver, and she's terrifying.
She's a nice lady.
Okay, so we we got in the car with her, went back to our hotel, and then the next day we got to do our character work. Not the rules workshop. The rules workshop, essentially exactly how it was last year. If you went to the one that occurred last year,
it was
more or less
basically the same
thing.
Complete with a lot of questions that wouldn't need to be asked if people were listening or had read the manual. I think that's any time you ask questions of a large group of people, no matter what, people are going to have like highly specific questions, especially with something that is so like you want to be considerate of people. Yeah. And so we did end up going long again, partially because of that. But after that, we had this time we had like a solid hour before we had to be there.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, we didn't have to walk over to our hotel. We literally rode our elevator up. Yep. We did our movie magic. I did my Sailor Moon transformation. And we got to go out to the party. Do you remember the name of the fellow we rode in the car with?
I do not remember his real name. We communicated using our character names the entire time. He was Harmony. He was the guru leader. And we packed all of us into the little car and drove out into the middle of...
We went to Taco Bell.
Yeah, we went to Taco Bell.
So we went to Taco Bell, and I have to say...
Our pre-night in question Taco Bell run.
Yeah, we did the same thing last time. We went in and got a quesadilla and dangerously ate it while driving.
Through the spooky road.
Through this terrifying road.
It was spookier last year.
Yeah.
Because the sun was completely down by the time we
had
head
out.
Year.
So we get there, we park in a bramble bush.
Yeah, we sure
because
did.
It was kind of dark, I heard scraping on my car.
Hear all kinds of horrible noises as we're driving over these bushes. I wonder
what that is. Like I didn't know, and then
it was a baby mesquite.
I opened up the car and I stepped into a needle bush and was like, "Oh, shoot! I wonder if my car's okay." And I was just like, "Whatever. That's a tomorrow me problem."
We're just getting into character. We're doing the immersion. You've broken your car. We literally cannot escape.
Yeah, I've broken my car in the bramble bush. If I try to run out to it, I can't start it because there's brambles in the engine. So we get to go out. They have the same sort of layout where they have the road out to the village itself.
They had rearranged everything this year. As far as the way everything was laid out,
there was more in the back.
There was a lot more going on.
There was more.
Really liked it.
There was more like little corners and nooks and sitting spaces and a chicken.
Yeah, there was a rooster.
What was it? Cluck fuck boom. That's what they named it.
Oh yeah.
That's horrid.
I didn't hear them name it or anything. I just I saw the rooster. I saw the rooster and I saw him up in a little corner, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's there."
Yeah. So
I didn't get to see the chicken.
Well, I mean, it was a chicken.
He was around. It was a chicken.
That's the ductus, you cowards.
It was the cluctus?
The cluctus.
Yes, that's our archbishop.
Oh my god. Matthew Dawkins, do you want me to help you? Cluctus, come on. Give me a call at Duets with Dice, or fax me, whatever. So... For me, well, I suppose you guys should go first for how your opening went, because mine was very simple. So,
yeah, mine was fairly involved.
Yeah. So I think we should start with Austin's. So Tell me about your act from the moment you walk in to when Act 1 ended when the lights changed color.
When the lights turned red.
Okay. So tell me about your life until then.
And so once we got there, we started, I ran into a couple of my buddies from my group. So what kind of group would a psychic vampire belong to, you might ask yourself? Well, the psychic vampire belonged to basically like a kind of a neo-pagan group. And so all of my people were, into the occult and stuff like that. we ran into two of our members who weren't there for the character workshop. And so we ran into them, and we've got a few different characters that are part of this group. We've got our leader, who is like just she was great. She was just this mean, kind of snotty, very very haughty sort of leader who's handing out the ritual instructions to everybody and is like, guys, don't fuck this up.
God, I love that. That's my favorite.
Yeah. And we've got a guy who was he was in a car accident, or no, he was in a hit and run sort of thing where a guy hit him with a car, and that sort of woke him up a little bit and made him start looking into the occult.
He had like a near-death experience.
Yeah, he had a near-death experience and stuff like that. We had this person was a killer. This person was a serial killer, a serial killer to be, who was just like pretty much, I feel like they were kind of like using the pagan trappings to act out on some impulses that they might have had.
Yeah.
They were great. Like there was a guy who was like, I'm the new guy. And oh boy, guys, I sure can't wait to do some rituals, guys. I can't
wait to summon Satan.
Yeah.
That's so fucking funny.
And then we had our last member who was fantastic during the character workshop, but I did not interact with him once during the game because went out and just did tarot readings the entire night.
Huh.
He was splendid.
Yeah. Very, very good. And so, we get together and we decided, at the beginning of this night, we all sort of felt a something in the air. And so we were like, all right, well, let's go do a quick little protection ritual, and we'll go do that real quick and get that taken care of. So we go through and starts handing, we're reading off each other's sheets and stuff while we're lighting candles in a circle and doing the whole thing. And so we do this quick little pagan protection ritual sort of thing, and after that, there were some people who were kind of like sitting by and watching, and they were just asking some questions. These were obviously vampires. You could tell by the way they were like made up and stuff. And so we talked to them for a little bit. They were fun. They were just had a bunch of questions and stuff. And I'm trying to remember what her character name was. And it is not coming to me. Because FYI, we're filming this about a month out from the event itself.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
And so, the head witch in our coven, she was awesome because she would always, if she was around, she would kind of speak up and be like, hey, have you fed yet? Or especially if we were around vampires, because we wanted to get a vampire to ask, whoa, what's all that about?
Because she totally bought into your psychic vampire bullshit.
Her character 100% believed me, and my character was like, my character 90% believed he was a vampire, but there was that 10% where he's like, I don't know, maybe I'm not, but I'm in too deep now, and so
I've bought into my own lie.
I've gotten really good at gaslighting myself. My privilege and just sort of natural charisma, I'm just like, yeah, there's no reason why I wouldn't be a vampire. Like,
I love that is a thought process that anyone could even have in fiction.
Yeah.
I have to be a vampire. I'm just too hot.
I'm just too good. And so, look at the way everybody else lives. Like, look at that. idiots. They chose that for themselves, but I have transcended. I had the ability to sidestep a fate set aside for me, and
I love it.
And the only reason that could have existed was because I am a supernatural being.
Rip to the middle class, but I'm different.
Yeah.
So, what happened after your protection ritual?
So once we wrapped up our protection ritual, we all kind of did a quick little group huddle, and we were like, all right, everyone, have a good night. Okay. And we all kind of split up and did our own thing, and we'd be like, all right, we'll run into each other later probably. Mm-hmm. And so we set off, and I ran into one of the vampires who was watching the little ritual circle. I could see him in the background. I didn't talk to him at that moment, but that's where I had run into him, and he comes up, and he's we have a short conversation, and I'm like, I kind of assume that he's this party guy who he's like a secret millionaire who just comes out in the middle of nowhere every once in a while, like on vacation or whatever, and just does a bunch of crazy stuff, does 1,000 drugs, and just all has a wild time. Okay. But he's actually probably some sort of like Steve Jobs kind of guy. And he's like, well, no. Well, I mean, you're half right. I own a casino in Las Vegas. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Wow. Yeah, of course I'm right. Of course I'm right. I could see. I'm
a psychic vampire.
I could see into the ether and discern that. Again, the girl who was hanging out, because she was talking to us as well. She was like, "Hey, have you fed? Are you feeling okay?" And then at that point, the guy bit. He was like, "Whoa, wait, fed? What's all that about?" And I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I'm just a psychic vampire."
Is that the accent you used?
No, I didn't use that.
You talked normally.
I talked pretty normally.
Oh God!
But that is definitely the
feeling that you gave.
Yeah, I was like, I just noticed that people get really exhausted around me.
And that's because you're sapping their chi.
It must be because I'm sapping away their emotions and their energy. It has nothing to do with who I am as a person. and so I did that, and he was like, "Wow, I would love to talk to you some more about this." And so, we go off, and I explain my story, and he's like, "So can you like turn somebody into a vampire?" And he's like, "Have you ever tried drinking blood?" And all sorts of like little questions. I'm like, "Yeah, no, vampires don't drink blood. That's not real. It's all bullshit. It's just something that it's just something that people made up in the Middle Ages when they were trying to persecute us." And so yeah, and there were points when I was saying this stuff where I had to cover my mouth because I was laughing, but yeah, and he was just like, "Oh man, I've got some people who would love to meet you. Hey, can you want to go meet some people?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, this millionaire wants me to meet his friends."
I bet his millionaire aura is so much better than the common man's hair flip.
and so, because I'm just sitting there like, all right, well, cool. Maybe I can get some money out of this guy. Yeah. It's not that I'm hurting for money. I'm fairly privileged. But you're in my own right. But I'm like, well,
who
maybe
turns down money?
Maybe there's a way I can like, I don't know, finagle this into something new and interesting.
The worst.
I have so much ennui.
And I did it. Ennui?
Oh,
Ennui.
Ennui. Existential boredom,
Yeah, and so he goes over and introduces me to some people, and I'm like, man, this like, no one told me this was a costume party. I didn't realize everybody around here, like what's with the cool Mortal Kombat get-ups, everybody?
Yeah.
And he was a member of the pack where they were straight, like, dressed up as, like
different
clowns
characters
and fairies?
Stuff? No, but we were talking about them. The other people, like, one was, she ended up being the Ductus, and she was, like, badass biker chick. then the other one was the Inquisitor, and he was like full
with his
fucking
vestments.
regalia, vestments, hood, black robes, the whole thing. And they were just like, yeah, costume party. Yeah, that's what's going on. They all look at each other and they're like, yeah, costume party, obviously.
I mean, duh.
And so they're like, and I feel like the so I'm explaining my story to them now, and I feel like they were kind of like, I don't know about this guy,
Mm-hmm.
but because he's sitting there obviously like, what do you think? Maybe we can get this guy. Maybe we can do that sort of thing. And so eventually we kind of part ways with them, and there was the leader of your cult.
Yeah, Harmony.
No,
you got Charles. Charles was the one
yeah.
that kicked your guy.
Yeah, he came up and kicked my guy from behind. My prospective sire. He did end up becoming my sire. We were checking on him, just making sure everything was okay, asking what the hell all that was about. It was just weird. And he was like, no, it's fine. I'll figure it out later. And so that was about where Act 1 ended for me.
For you? Yeah. What about for you, RD?
Yeah, so we all roll up. There were people that hadn't attended the character creation workshop, so we sort of got them folded in, and we caught up with each other. And then Charles you may know him as the guy who got executed.
Mm-hmm.
Charles.
Being
he was
Baharist, right?
Yes, he was a winner. Because we're in a cult and we're trying to spread the word about positivity and harmony and stuff. Harmony being the literal leader of our group, not the concept of being harmonious. And so he gave us these stickers and said, okay, go hand them out to people. So he built in a way to force us to interact with people. I was super thrilled with that. That was such a good idea. And so once it started, he told me my thing was, I'm trying to hand out more stickers than I ever have before, because usually I'm too anxious to talk to people. And I'm gonna come to this rave, I'm gonna hand out stickers, and I'm going to hijack the vibes of the people who are confident and having a good time so that I can learn to ape having a good time. And if that doesn't work, then they'll just dope me up on acid. I mean, they didn't tell me they were going to dope me up on acid, but they sure did. And so the first act was me just kind of going around and handing out these stickers to people. And I made it a point to, look around and find the vampires that were already in the crowd, and then move myself so I was behind them when I approached them so that they could turn around and startle me with their corpse paint.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended Act 1 believing that I was having some sort of anxiety attack because I was seeing monsters and nobody else was.
That's good.
That's pretty good, yeah.
And as far as Act 1 goes, that's pretty much all I did. I followed after Charles, who did, in fact, kick Austin's prospective sire, because he used to be a part of our group, and then he left the group, and Charles took Sunny, my character, aside and was like, listen, avoid him and avoid all of them, because they are motherfuckers, and they betrayed Harmony, our good, wonderful leader who would never do anything bad like dope you up on acid while you're having a panic attack. He wouldn't do that. And if he did, it's because you needed that to happen.
So you definitely got looped into some, almost feels like hazing a little bit.
I'd been a member for
peer pressured.
Yeah.
I'd been a member for a long time, but it's a very toxic environment where if you do anything wrong, you get yelled at and asked why you're not trying to be harmonious like Harmony, leader, who is literally named Harmony.
Yeah. So for me, the first act, one, without consulting with any of the girls in my party pack, which is what I'm going to refer to them as, not like the Taco Bell party pack,
or the little bit pack.
A little bit like a Taco Bell party pack, but without really consulting any of them, we all showed up with different colored hair like the fucking Power Rangers. There was a girl with pink hair, blue hair, green hair, yellow hair, and I showed up with white hair, like the white fucking ranger, showing up at the last minute, like, hi guys, I'm a part of your group. And it was great. It was very cohesive. You can definitely tell, because there was multiple people who were supposed to be partying. And it was very clear, I think, looking at the group of women with candy-colored hair and then seeing the various other groups on the dance floor, I felt like it was very clear, oh, that seems like a unit. That seems like they go and rave together. And so that was sort of my thing for the first act. So I had arranged with a guy, and I can't remember his real name. His handle is Temujin. And I had... Yeah, I don't know, but I had reached out into the universe and said, hey, I'm looking for a shitty boyfriend who is willing to, like, give me drugs irresponsibly. And he was like, hey, I'm a bloodback, so I'm probably gonna die, pretty early in the night, but I will 100% be there, and I sure will give you a bunch of drugs. And I didn't see the guy in the workshops. He showed up at the thing, but I recognized him right away, and I'll be honest, I was worried. I was worried because I had never roleplayed with him. I was like, what if this is weird? What if this sucks? There's no way for me to vet whether or not this will be fun. But the moment I saw him, we waved at each other. It was like an instant connection where I was like, oh, wait, no, he's wonderful. So he comes up and he's like, hey, babe, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm okay. Because the first thing I did when I showed up there was I bought drugs from Scott. First thing, like a beeline. And then Scott gave me some mysterious drug that had like fucking serial. It didn't have a name. It had serial numbers. And I didn't ask what it was. I didn't ask what it would do. I said, sure, can I have some? He said, yeah, no problem. You know what? You're a great customer. Have a little more. And I was like, yeah. Took him. Go immediately out into the dance floor. Say hi to my boyfriend. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he immediately, like, the character was sort of like an older guy who he shouldn't be raving anymore. Like, it's time for him to move on, but he hasn't moved on. And immediately he was like, babe, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, what? He was like, these trip pants do not fit anymore. Do you think anyone will notice? And I look down and the trip pants aren't buttoned up. They're just like pulled up but they don't close anymore. And I'm like, those look like they're probably a little old. And he was like, yeah, they definitely are. And it was just like such a fun sort of thing of my character almost like joking and tolerating her boyfriend, that she's like, he's okay. I tell him, are you selling tonight? He says yes. And I had not 20 minutes before taken drugs Scott gave me. He's like, hey babe, no problem. Here, take this. It's mescaline. I say, okay. So
the old nostril air.
Within 20 minutes, I have taken 3 pills of undeterminate origin and am already sort of like feeling a little bit sick, but then all of my friends start showing up. And they're starting to peter in, and everyone's like, are we good, girls? Like, cause we're terrible. We're like, okay, are we good, girls? We have like group moms who are like keeping tabs on everyone. They're just like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? You don't look good. And I'm like, I feel great. And then I start pretend throwing up because mescaline makes you nauseous. And they're like, what did you take? And I lie. And I'm like, I guess like a mescaline. And they're like, okay, well, maybe you should, like, relax. I'm like, no, I want to dance. So I dance, I pretend throw up, I get babied on by the different people in my group. And I have the first interaction with a vampire I had was very, very early on. The first... I recognized her because she was I saw pictures of her on the plane with Jason Carl, so she flew here with Jason Carl.
Mm-hmm.
But she was tall with black hair and like a black leather jacket. So fucking cool looking. You know, like glides up like, hey baby, hey, why don't you follow me? And I'm like fucked up. I'm like seeing shit. I'm having like hot flashes and I'm like, okay. And so I walk off with her.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the girls, one of the group moms is like, you know, kind of looking after me and she follows me without me like really realizing she's following because she's like, well, one, we don't wander off with people. It's one of our rules,
mm-hmm.
you know, because they're watching out for us, but I'm trying to die tonight. And so, you know, she takes me to the back and we have a very cool feeding scene. She feeds on me. She's wonderful. She puts a tab of, I think she said it was Molly in my mouth. So wonderful. And is like, all right, well, I'll see you around. And I'm like, okay. And I walk the corner right into my friend
mm-hmm.
who's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I just needed to drink some water. I lie.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they gave me some more water and we stumble to the dance floor. And I continue to just sort of get sick and then I start dancing. Because I came to this party because, like, last year, I was so sad that my character didn't dance. Because there was some fucking hot tunes being played at the night in question. And I was like, man, why? I'm playing a character who's too busy crying to dance. I'm here playing a character dancing so hard, she's crying. And I was just getting down, baby. I didn't even feel the cold. There was no cold going on because I was grooving so hard. And that was my first bit. I'm pretty sure that's everything that occurred to
mm-hmm.
me. More might have happened. It'll come to me.
I forgot something that happened to me because I forgot when the acts were delineated. I had my goal to hand out all of these stickers, and I sat down with somebody who proceeded to give me the most heartfelt talk about, hey, maybe you should stop hanging out with those toxic friends. I've had toxic friends. They stole all my equipment because I was in a band, and my character's thing was, she keeps throwing money at these people because she's like rich from Hippie Hollow, and she just keeps throwing money at this literal cult so that they won't like leave her.
Kick her out.
And so she was like, maybe they are just using me. And he took all of my stickers off, all of the stickers off the page because I told him that I was really fucked up because I was gonna let them down again because I'm too scared to hand out all these stickers even though they're counting on me. And so he took all the stickers off except for one so that I could go tell them that I gave all the stickers, and honestly, that is the sweetest thing that has ever happened to me in or out of character.
Role players are good people, guys. There's just something about a bunch of strangers agreeing that we're all going to play really, really weird, like, pretend makes people really nice. And it's because we can't explain it to other people.
I feel like we've had better experiences with that setup than a lot of people have.
I mean, I've had some bad experiences, but yeah.
And so, like, I tried to go up to the leader to be like, I did it! I gave out all my stickers! Aren't you proud of me? But somebody else was having one of the other members was having a panic attack and just sobbing on the ground. And so the leader told me to fuck...
So I won, right?
The leader told me to fuck off and find Charles. And so I go, and I try to talk to Charles. And I'm trying to show him that I've gotten rid of all the stickers, and he's like, Sonny, will you shut the fuck up? I'm talking to somebody, and she's very important. He was talking to the Bahari, who was an excellent vampire. She also kept taking me aside and being like, hey, you're very strong inside. Maybe you should take some LSD and be strong. And
outside.
So I spent leading up to Act 2 just holding this empty thing of stickers out, showing
like
it to
trying to be like, no,
showing the other members of the group that I'd done it, and just getting kicked aside. That's pretty hilarious.
That's a pretty good one, yeah. So Act 1, I feel like everyone got to set up a lot of good stuff, and so Act 2 definitely delineated by they said ahead of time, the lights are going to turn red.
The lights are going to turn red.
The lights are going to turn red, and the Darude Sandstorm that they're playing is now a little weird.
At the point where the lights turned red, they were like, all right, so last year we kind of had a problem where the siring was unfettered.
Yeah, I recall
and so
that
anybody
being the
could
case.
sire anybody, and you could sire as many as you wanted. By the time Act 3 came around,
everybody was a vampire.
There were no people left except for the 6 blood bags who were forming lines for people to kill them. And so this year it was like everybody can sire one. And
which definitely curbed it.
The people who become vampires cannot sire. And so that was, in my opinion, a great decision.
It definitely curbed the sort of wild rush to the graves and everything.
And by the time Act 3 would start, anybody who could sire one more.
Freely, yeah. One more, and then by the end it's freely.
Yeah, and then by the end, if anybody's left, which there's no reason why they would, it's fair game. And so my Act 2 started with me hanging out with the fella. And he had told me out of character, he's like, by the way, Malkavian, and I'm like, of course.
Excellent.
I was wanting Lasombra, but I was like, yeah, no, Malk makes sense. And so yeah, I was walking with him as the lights turned red, and so we both looked at the red lights, and then he turns back and looks at me, and he's like, I've got a place I want to show you. And so he kind of guides me out to the siring pit, which is just this, so last year it was this, you could see it from far away. This year they had it kind of walled off.
Yeah, they did.
And
that's what that was.
And so he was walking with me, and he was like, he was really good. He was just like, no, I just want to tell you something. Oh, by the way, and then he used dementation on me, and just the dementation power in this one was you feel cold and dead inside.
Ooh.
And so he used that, and I was like, wait, what? And he went on to explain, I am a real fucking vampire, and he flashes his fangs, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm a real vampire.
Your Spider-Man meme pointing at each other.
Yeah. And so he starts explaining some stuff, and starts basically giving me the bare basics of the vampire
Did you
talk.
explain to the guy out of character, hey, please don't give me the vamp talk?
No, I let him give me the vamp talk because, there's plenty of, something to do. And so he comes in, and, he sires me, and he's like, and now you're a real fucking vampire. And he whacks me over the head, knocks me into the pit, and he's just like, yeah, and it's the same deal as last year. Hey, take your time, just sit in the hole as long as you want.
Did you get to enjoy the hole?
The hole didn't I couldn't hear the sound.
Yeah, apparently James Davey was supposed to be narrating the stuff in the hole.
I heard that some people could hear the stuff in the hole. It might have just been,
do you think maybe it was a per hole basis?
Hole you were in.
Yeah, because the hole I got put in, I didn't get to hear him.
Yeah, I missed it as well. And so, but yeah, I came out, and he, he helps me up, and he's like, yeah, for Kane.
Oh.
And he was like, all right, come with me. And so he takes me out next to the siring pit, and he starts kind of explaining some things, and the way he explains and starts using his disciplines was really cool. He was like, all right, well, I can teach you a few things, and we could teach you, you feel cold and dead inside, or I could, you can see things and sense things a little bit better. That's kind of one of the things that our bloodline is known for. And or you could do this. And he was like, so I'm using obfuscate. I'm going to walk around you and then kind of pop back out. I'm going to break obfuscate as I come back around.
Oh, that's clever.
And he was like, yeah, so we're also pretty good at going unseen. And so he lets me pick, and I end up picking demontation. And I go back. I go back, and he's kind of like, so why don't you go try feeding, like for real, like from blood. And I'm like, okay, I can give that a try. All right. And he's like, look, see that person over there? There's one girl kind of standing off to herself, and I'm just like, all right, I can try. And so I go up and I check on her. I see what's going on, what's wrong. Hey, are you okay? What's going on here? And she's like, no, I don't know. I feel like everybody's just been kind of abandoning me lately, and so I'm just standing here, and I'm like, okay. And so pretty much right as I'm about to pounce, the girl's prospective sire shows up and is like, hey, what's going on here? And I'm like, oh, no, this one's mine. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then my sire runs up and is like, whoa, hold on, misunderstanding. Sorry, he's new. He's new, you know.
He's just a baby.
Big misunderstanding. He turns to me, hey, we're not going to worry about this one. We'll feed once we get inside.
Oh.
And so we go back to the party, and he's over there like, hey, sorry, you know, no big deal.
My bad.
And he's coming over and explaining some things to me, and he's like, oh, look, there's your group. And so I go over and I see my group, and he goes off and does his thing. And my group is having this big spat that has been building up under the surface for a long time, because one of our people likes to kill things.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're all kind of having this big spat, or I'm walking in on the aftermath of the big spat, and they're like, did you know that Sybil came here to kill somebody? A human being? Because this character had been working their way up to a human for a long time, you know.
Like, we'll start
killed
with
someone's
animals.
neighbor's cat, killed you know,
Holy
bunch
shit.
of stuff, and was just working their way up to human. And tonight they were like, I'm gonna get a human.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna get a human. And so we go up and they're like, yeah, Sybil killed a human. They're out of the coven.
I'm sorry. We don't do that here.
We don't kill people. And I'm just like, oh, I'm freshly a vampire. Everybody smells good, and I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah. Oh man, that's fucked up. Do we know where Sybil put the body? and they're like, no. What? No, all I've heard, I don't even know that Sybil did it. Sybil just came up with a knife and, you know, covered in blood. And I'm just like, and so, I go over and you know, I kind of talk things out with my group, and our leader, she's like crying. She's upset. She's like, I don't get it. How did it go so wrong?
Everything was so perfectly planned. I don't understand.
We lost Sybil. Sybil's out. But then Roz came and quit.
Oh,
Her life is falling
the
apart.
coven.
I'm out of the coven, and you suck. Do I suck?
They kicked her out of the coven?
No, they both just left. And I'm like, look, hey, if they left the coven, that's their
They're not
fault.
worth it, okay?
They're not worth it.
God.
You know, and so I'm trying to make her feel better and all this other stuff. And she's just like, I don't know. I'm just glad you're here because because of you, I know that we're going the right way. And I'm like,
Ow.
yeah, probably.
Oh, shit.
And so,
Ouchie.
and so, you know, we head off, and, you know, I start getting information from some of the other ones, trying to hear what they've heard, and just trying to pick up on all this juicy gossip. And, you know, my sire comes up again and he's like, hey, I've got some people I want you to meet. And, you know, we go off and start saying hi. He's showing me the ropes. And at this point, up until now, I've been trying to figure out what my Malk derangement is.
Yeah. Did you figure one out?
And it was around this point where I figured it out. And I was like, I don't think I'm a vampire. My Malk derangement was that I could not be convinced that vampires were real for any longer than like 10 seconds before I'm just like, nah, maybe we're something else. Maybe we're werewolves.
God, that is true perfection.
Yeah, maybe we're werewolves. Maybe we're aliens, maybe. And so every time my sire would be like, yeah, no, we're vampires now, and I'd be like, are we? And he'd be like, shut up, don't say that.
Hey, can you keep that to yourself?
You keep that under your fucking hat,
hey,
mate.
Keep that to yourself. And so yeah, I'm just like, I'm kind of getting a little hazy and trying to figure everything out, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what this is, but it's definitely not vampires. And so you know, we're figuring all that out, and that's more or less how my Act 2 went.
What about you? Anything big happened during your Act 2?
All right, so for Act 2, I told everybody that I was going to go check on the car because we needed to take Zephyr home. We need to get him away from his ex-girlfriend, and we need to get him to stop crying on the floor. And so Sunny disappeared to go check on the car, but what actually happened was I jumped into one of the closed buildings and changed clothes into a generic NPC.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went out and, you know, I was just looking around at what was going on, and I saw this happened to Mo. I saw Mo on the dance floor screaming, and there's a guy looming over her. And so I decided, all right, this is a red shirt, and they are ready to die. And I go onto the dance floor, and I'm like, hey, are you okay? I'm trying to comfort her, and I'm trying to find the guy because he's just disappeared. And so I get Mo's character kind of situated with her friends. I dance a little bit, and then I see one of the guys that was hanging out with the guy that was intimidating her. Now, I didn't get a good look at his face. This guy's face was fucked up. And so I go up to the other guy to be like, hey, who the fuck does your friend think he is? Because I also decided I was mad. That I was, like, aggressive.
I've decided to put on my mad face.
I'm rude now.
And
so I went up and I was like, hey, who the fuck does your friend think he is? And so he was like, oh, you didn't hear about the movie? Because there was a movie being shot at the night. And he's like, oh, we're actors. And I'm like, oh, well, your friend's such a fucking big shot. Who do you think he is scaring people? And he's like, well, why don't you go ask him? And so I went up and I confronted this vampire, and I had a screaming match with this vampire.
Mm-hmm.
I was screaming at this guy, and he was excellent. Props to Hole's Face Man. He was an amazing actor, and so
Hole's Face was up to a lot of good stuff.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you all about my experience.
He intimidated me with a discipline and backs me into a bleacher. I sit down, lean back, and he keeps leaning over me.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, you're nothing, you're less than the dirt underneath my claws. And I'm like, I managed to maintain being angry while still absolutely cowering. And so I go to, he runs off, and so I go to Mo's character, and I'm like, you need to make sure that guy doesn't follow you home because he is a fucking lunatic. Because I still think that he's just an actor who's like on drugs or being an assaulter. So I'm like, you've got to be careful, make sure. And so I go and I find her friends, and I'm like, you need to make sure that your friend doesn't go home alone because that guy is crazy.
Yeah.
And then I see Scott, and Scott comes up to me. He's like, hey, how you doing? And we're having a conversation because I've seen him dealing, and I'm telling him, oh, I'm just taking care of my friends. I don't do drugs because I have to drive them. I'm just checking on everybody. He's like, oh, that's so cool. You're so responsible. You really, really want to come with me. And really, really is how they showed you're using a discipline. When the guy intimidated me, he said, you are really, really scared of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so Scott just goes, oh, you really, really want to come with me? And I don't break conversation. I keep talking as we walk. I'm like, and we're talking about the drugs. He backs me into a corner and murders me. He feeds on me and then goes off into, like, there's a door. He's talking to his sire probably about, hey, I just killed someone. So I fall down. And I think
was just like, right on. High five.
Yeah.
And so I fall down, and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay there like a corpse until Scott's character comes out and then sees that I am a corpse. And so I lay there, I'm sprawled out, and a group of people comes up to my corpse, and they're like, my eyes are open, I'm not blinking. My eyes are open, I'm staring ahead, they're like, oh my god, is she sleeping? They put their hand over on my neck, they're like, hey, fingers crossed, hey, you dead? Oh, I'm so dead, there is not a pulse, there's blood, I'm so fucking dead. Thumbs up, they're like, huh, I can't feel the They put their hand over my mouth. They put their, like, face really close to my mouth to see if I'm breathing. They're like, oh my god, she's dead. I can't handle this, man. You know what? No, this isn't happening. And they walk away. And so the survivor was the sister of somebody who was in Sunny's group, one of the members of the Harmony Circle. And I see her standing. She's the only one who legitimately freaked out. She's pointing, her sister standing next to her like, yes, she's dead. There's vampires about, they're fucking eating people, and she's crying because there is a corpse and nobody cares. Literally no one else is doing anything about the corpse. And so eventually Scott comes out, and I laid there like, you know, I'm cold, and there's dirt, and I am afraid of ants to crawl on me. Scott, hurry up! Mm-hmm. And so eventually he comes out, and this bitch just says, bye-bye, and walks away from my corpse. And so after that, I tried to estimate, because I wanted to be Sunny again at the end of Act 2 in preparation for dying. Mm-hmm. And so
you took off your hat and transformed.
And so I run back to the portable where I've hidden my bag and my hat and stuff in a corner and put like a chair in front of it, mm-hmm. and I become Sunny once more. And before I start looking for my friends, and before I can find my friends, I get attacked by like 3 separate packs of vampires, all of whom, one didn't kill me. One was like, hey, you were out at your car? And I was like, yeah, and so we played what happened while I was out at my car, which was she clunked me on the fucking head, drank from me a little bit, and was like, oh, you fell and hit your head. And I was so dizzy from blood loss that I'm like, what? And she's like, here, take this pill. And so I 100% bought that I had bonked my head because Sunny's a fucking idiot. And so I come back in like, guys, something's wrong with the cars. And I got to talk to Jason Carl's character, who's like, yeah, somebody set us up. They're gonna like kill us all. And I was like, no, they couldn't cover that up. You're crazy. They couldn't possibly cover that up. It must be the actors or something who are just fucking with everybody. They couldn't possibly be planning to kill us all. They'd have to burn down the whole thing.
Did you say that?
I should
have.
Did
you say, oh god, if you had said that, I feel like Jason Carl would have like given a little laugh at that, because that's fucking funny.
I was like, there's no way they could hide all of us disappearing. They couldn't possibly. And so I'm refinding all of my friends. And some of them are, some of them had been, they'd been vamped, and were, acting like crazy people.
Mm-hmm. So, the end of Act 2 is Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah.
Is there anything else before you got to Ballroom Blitz?
Before I got to Ballroom Blitz, Charles had been turned. Oh, we had a great fight where Charles, he got into a fight with Zephyr, and they split off, and he turns to his sire, the Baharian's like, I like him because he stands up to me. I don't think Sunny has the gall. And so the Bahari comes up behind me and is like, that really, really hurts your feelings. You really, really want to prove to him that you do deserve to be his friend. And so I lash out and I start screaming. I'm like, you know what, Charles, maybe if you weren't so mean to me all the time and you didn't yell at me every time I did anything, I wouldn't be so afraid all the time. I wouldn't be like this anymore. And I push him. I push him over.
Your little...
and so he hugs him. And so he's like, you know what? You're right. You're right. You know what? No, he's just fucking with me.
Oh.
He's like, you know what? You're right. You deserve better. And it's going to be better now that I'm the leader of the Harmony Circle. Harmony isn't in the group anymore. It was super fucked up how he gave you acid while you were having a panic attack. Even though earlier when I was like, I can't believe Harmony gave me acid while I was reporting hallucinations. He was like, you know what? Did you consider for maybe 2 minutes letting the visions happen because it's a journey that you needed to go on and Harmony knows that? Yeah, you didn't think about that. You only think about yourself.
God, I would have loved to be a fly. I would have loved to be the rooster in the room for that one.
Yeah, I had kind of a similar thing happen to me during Act 2 as well, where I ran into Sybil after they'd killed a person, and I, super excited, like, I did it, I finally did it, and I was like, you feel cold and dead inside. And that was the only time I had used that discipline at all.
Bastard.
Austin.
Just to see if I could.
That is wonderful. I love how you literally rained on that man's parade. It is cruel,
I can't believe
and I
you
love
ruined
it.
their murder parade. Who's the real monster?
So, for me, the lights turn red. And I have now taken some cocaine to, like, I feel like I drank a lot of water.
Just trying to even everything out.
Yeah, I'm like, I took a lot of hallucinogens and I feel real bad and I'm nauseous, and so I took some cocaine. I was like, that made me feel a little bit better. All right. And so I keep on dancing, and around this time, I start to hang out with the bravest man who has ever existed, Sexy Waldo.
Speak, muse of the Ballad of Sexy Waldo.
Sexy Waldo is braver than any warrior.
Yeah,
any
that's
Spartan
true.
could never do anything half as skillful and talented and brave as Sexy Waldo. Because Sexy Waldo was wearing a crop top, booty shorts, and boots, and was not afraid of nothing.
And by this point in the evening, it was cold.
It was getting colder. It started, or I'd say it was about, 48 degrees at the beginning of the night. It has gone on a little more. It's getting a little colder. However, I was dancing so hard, I didn't even sweat. That's how cold it was. I was able to dance and not really, like, sweat. That should give a testament. I'm a big girl.
It was
Sweating's easy. During that night, I was fine. So this is around the time I kind of get to meet Waldo. And so we start grooving and dancing, and there's a couple times when people are, like, screaming. And, my rave moms would come over and be like, I'm gonna go see what's going on, because they're
rave moms.
Yeah, they're rave moms. And, they went to go investigate, and at this point, the pink-haired rave mom has disappeared. I did not see her again from the moment. I guess she got sired real early or something, because she gone. So rave mom disappeared.
Start seeing
me and
movie
Waldo
stuff.
were hanging out. At this point, we started seeing all of the people in weird costumes, the clowns. So we saw some people in clown costumes, and my character's like, oh my god, I bet it's somebody's birthday. Because that's the only thing.
I was able to confirm that in Act 1. It was indeed somebody's birthday.
I was like, it's someone's birthday, and that's why there's a clown. And then, like, some creepy people show up with balloons. Someone who's clearly a vampire gave me a balloon. And I was like, oh, thanks. And, we were all just kind of musing on how things were, like, getting a little bit weird. And I'm like, you know what? I bet I'm feeling sick and everything's going wrong because of whatever Scott's character gave me. I guess now that I think about it, it didn't have a name, just a serial number. And the one dude in our group, I think his name was Charles as well. He had, like, a white mesh shirt on. Do you recall?
I don't. I saw him, but he was not my Charles.
He wasn't your Charles. Ours was a different one then. He had a white mesh shirt on, and he was like our group's the only guy in our group, and he was, like, always willing to, like, bust people up because he's like, hey, you don't fuck with my friends.
I'm sure Charles fought him. He was fighting everybody.
Yeah, this dude was fighting everyone. And so I was like, maybe that's what it is. He's like, you know what? Fuck that guy. I'm gonna find him. And he runs off to go find Scott's character and start shit.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, no, he is my friend. And, so he runs off, and I sort of keep dancing. And at this point, this is where I have my first real sort of encounter with one of the scarier masked vampires, because before, the vampires that I had seen they're people, what I mean? They're cool. They're like cool biker people, are like people in cosplay. Our LARPers is what me and some other people were laughing at. We're like, oh my god, are there LARPers here? How lame.
How very 1998 of you to know what a LARPer is.
Listen. So
How meta.
we all had some pretty good laughs when we made fun of people who like Lord of the Rings. Actually, Lord of the Rings didn't come out.
Not yet.
There were still people who dressed up as characters from Lord of the Rings. They were just
it was
book
anachronistic.
versions.
Yeah.
It was very anachronistic, that thing.
You might have said, I saw somebody dressed up like Xena.
Oh, that's a better one. Yeah. So we definitely comment on everyone's weird outfit. I meet a young man at one point who, I lean over the side while I'm like swigging water and then like pretend throwing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I meet a kid and he's like wearing a sweater vest and he has a rosary on and he's like a little Catholic boy. And he's like, I've never been to a rave like this. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, my friends came. And I'm like, why don't you come in here and dance? And I gave him one of my pills. And like we started to dance and hang out, and like throughout the night, every once in a while, I'd see him, and he's doing crazy. Like I'd see him stumble around with chains. I'm like, yeah, a hero. Because eventually everyone just started calling him Hero because like he was dancing real hard. We were like, man, fuck, this dude's never danced before. Fucking get it. Like we made a circle around him, and we're like, go. You know, we were encouraging him. And so he stumbles off doing more drugs. And so not long after that, I'm still on the dance floor.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, he was so funny. It was his first LARP ever.
Yeah.
And he had so much fun, and you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on the dance floor. I'm sort of, I eventually got some cocaine from the guy who went to go harass Scott, because I was like, do you have anything like faster, like a little harder? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm selling tonight. I'm like, why the fuck didn't you say anything? He's like, you didn't ask me? I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, give me something. And I just took his bag. I didn't give it back. And so
it's still here.
Yeah, and so I'm dancing, and the lights are red, and a lot of people have vacated off the dance floor at this point. As a matter of fact, I think everybody was off of the dance floor, either taking breaks or having little things going, because it was during Act 2. And I'm alone on the dance floor, and I'm sort of just spinning. And the guy, I mean, we didn't rehearse it, it just happened, and it was very cinematic, and it was very natural. I turn, and I stop, and he wasn't there when I was turned the other way. Then he was there. And it's the guy with the fucking whole mask.
Nice.
I had not seen that fucking dude before that very moment. And in the red
lighting.
Strobing lights, I was like, for a moment, I was like, oh shit, he jump scared me, Mo. I was like, oh my fucking god. And I screamed. I slid, I fell back on my ass and started to like scramble away, screaming. And I was incoherent because I was still high on mescaline and this weird drug that I didn't know what it was. And so I'm screaming and I'm crying, and I get up against the corral, and I turn around, the guy's gone.
Nice.
And
he was such a winner.
I am going to make a mock-up drawing of exactly what he looked like when I was on the ground. Because it is such a snapshot memory in my brain of what he looked like. And there were a couple of moments like that in this LARP where it is so cinematic and so in universe that it felt like watching a movie in my life.
Yeah, and basically what the guy like looked like, he looked like his face was a wasp's nest.
Yeah, and you could hear buzzing. He told me specifically, you can hear me buzzing as I lean over you.
Yeah, he was like, his face was like a wasp's nest with fangs. And
it was so scary.
It was very, what is it? Trypophobia?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And, everybody comes to comfort me. And they're like, she's just high. Because he had disappeared and nobody else saw what I was looking. And, well, not really. But most of the people that came to comfort me were like, we didn't see anything. Are you okay? Drink some water. And, I'm crying and I'm sobbing. And then eventually Waldo came to me and was like, no, I saw something weird. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, did you see the guy with the coat and the face? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. And
I like how he mentions the coat first. The coat and...
because the guy was wearing... he was naked with a coat on.
He had a coat. Did you see the guy with the coat? And also, I guess, the face that's a beehive.
Yeah. And so, at this point, me and Waldo had both experienced something very scary. But we sort of reasoned ourselves into saying, it is the drugs. And we were like, we're sitting like huddled next in the corral next to each other, like whispering to each other, like, I bet it's some asshole out there who's going around with a mask on, scaring people who are high on mescaline, and they're probably filming it, and it's probably going to be on MTV, and we're just like, we're trying to reason as to what we saw. And then this other guy came to sort of huddle in with us because he was also scared. And he was like, did you guys see the guy with the coat and the face? And so we're like as a little trio. And then eventually I'm like, but I don't want to go home. I want to keep dancing.
The rules of the LARP mean that I don't want to go home.
So, we kind of do some more drugs from the baggie I never gave back to my friend. And all three of us do some drugs. And so we just kind of, more people have gotten back on the dance floor. And so we kind of get back into the groove. But we're still like we're a little more afraid than we were, but the drugs really started to help. A vampire kind of arrives. And I don't recall exactly what he had said to the blonde man. But there was definitely some manner of gay crisis that occurred when the blonde-haired man realized that he had deep feelings for Waldo, and apparently had been like skirting around it for a while, and there was like a spat. I don't know Waldo would have to tell his side of that sordid tale.
To be clear, Waldo was, we call him Waldo because like the booty shorts and the shirt and the hat and the glasses.
Where's Waldo.
He was Where's Waldo.
Sexy Where's Waldo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, there was some manner of lovers spat in regards to that. And, so while I'm still dancing and like kind of getting over things, Waldo and blonde-haired guy have sort of wandered away. Scott and Ryan show up with my friend who like apparently went to go fucking harass them. Oh, and they come and question me like, what's wrong? And they're trying to justify that what I'm experiencing couldn't possibly be their fault. They're like, no, it's super safe. We've done clinical trials. And then I made it I made it myself. I synthesized it myself. And they're just they're like,
it couldn't possibly be the drugs. It must be vampires.
They're like spinning a yard around my wasted ass. Like it couldn't possibly be me. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Maybe it's just because I took that and also some mescaline and also some Molly and also some cocaine. And then I think at that point, Scott's character like gave me like a squint eye, like a, And, he was like, you're probably going to be okay. Just let it peter out for a little bit. You'll be all right. I don't think that your horrible, terrifying hallucinations are my fault. And so they sort of leave after that. Let me think about anything else that happened.
I remembered something Austin did. Was Act 2 when you fed on me?
Yeah.
Austin, my character decided that she was going to go get drunk after this liberating experience of pushing Carl. And so I tried to buy Austin's character a drink. And it was just bottled water, but it was a hard drink.
It was water, and I was like, fine, that's fine. This will make me feel better. And I drank it, and I
threw
spat it immediately out because I was like, oh, that's not blood.
So I just think he's being weird. I'm like, man, because another one of my friends had dosed me up on drugs. Thing that happened to me a lot. And so I go over to Austin. I'm like, man, are you okay? And I'm talking to this man who's clearly having a meltdown.
Yeah, I was having a hard time.
about how I'm opening up. I'm gonna have fun. Me and you, bud. Me and you are gonna have fun. And then another vampire showed up.
Oh, yeah, and he was my buddy. He was in my coven when we came in, but he became a vampire at some point throughout the evening, and I was just like, crazy night, huh?
And so this other vampire is like, oh, well, you couldn't drink. Maybe you need something warmer. And so they back me into one of the seats that's in the dark. There's no one else around. These two dudes back me into the seat. I sit down. Austin feeds from me, wanders off, and then the other guy's like, while you're here, feeds from me, and I'm like, oh shit, well I guess I'm dying. And I'm sitting there like, guys, you're gonna come back, right? Because I think I'm just drunk. I'm like,
yeah, and I was just like, hey, you just need to sit down for a sec, you'll be okay. It'll be all right. And then I just wandered off.
And so I was like, my friends are going to come back. I am dying. Mm-hmm. Sunny is dying. Mm-hmm. And out of nowhere, I never saw this guy. This guy, he's fully hooded, fully gloved, can't see his face. Clearly Nosferatu or Gangrel or something comes and sits down. He's like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, my friends, they're gone. They left me and I'm cold. And so I start trying to put my gloves on because I'm cold. And so I'm doing this real well. I can't put it on. And this guy, he's like, here, let me help you. And this stranger very tenderly, he's a vampire, he's not wearing a glow stick, very tenderly puts Sunny's gloves on for her, like puts her hands over her stomach and kind of props her up so she's actually sitting up. And it's like, hey, you're gonna be okay. Gives me a vial of blood and is like, hey, drink this. Hey, this is my blood. This is my vitae. I'm ghouling you. I'm like, sweet. I don't have to die here. Sunny lives to die another minute.
In about half an hour.
And so that was just such a because he was very gentle. He came up and was like talking to me like I'm, a wounded animal. I'm just like, why are all of my friends leaving me? Because at this point in time, none of my friends from the Harmony Circle, I can't find them. Harmony is no longer my friend, no longer my guru. Charles is, but he's fucked off. And then they fucked off. I'm like, where are they? Why do they keep leaving? He's like, it's okay. They're gonna come back for you. It's okay. It's very, very, very quiet, very sweet.
Yeah, at the end of my act, because Ballroom Blitz was when my... where things... I find that, in my experience, maybe my stuff was a little less interaction-filled than your guys's, where you guys seem like you had, a lot of deep talks with people.
Oh, yeah.
And mine wasn't. Mm-hmm. But, so, at one point, Raquel, her name is Raquel Skeleton, she was wearing that little black skirt, and she was beautiful.
So tall.
Her and all of her friends come in, and they start dancing. And we're supposed to hate these people. But, everyone is so fucked up. And she keeps saying it. She's like white girl wasted.
Yeah.
She's like white girl wasted. Like, I'm so drunk. And I'm like, me too. And we start dancing. And there was one moment that I also remember very well is, I guess I had dropped my packet of cocaine. In the hay that we were dancing in. And Wasteful. We're all dancing in a circle and people are taking their turns doing their moves in the middle. And she looks down the floor and goes, oh my God, a baggie! And points. And then everybody looks down and it's there. And she picks it up and goes, woo! And then we all put it on each other and start snorting it off of each other. And I was like, okay, that's great. The fact that everyone is terrified and people are scared and fucked up, but the fact that everybody found a baggie of crushed up Pop Rocks on the ground was enough cause for celebration that we all started lining it up on each other and snorting it and licking it, and we're just like, yeah!
The reason you had so little interaction and so much dancing is because you can dance, Mo.
You went out to dance.
Listen, you can dance. I can't dance, so I had to have.
So, the beginning of Act 3 was Ballroom Blitz.
Yep.
So, for me, as I've been talking about, at this point, I had done mysterious number pills. I had done Molly. I had been doing cocaine. I did mescaline. I started to drink. And I finished off the packet of cocaine. Mm-hmm. Ballroom Blitz starts to play.
And for reference, when Ballroom Blitz plays, Masquerade is done.
Yeah, people are getting attacked.
They're like, we've got enough control over the scenario that nobody's getting out, and so it's just hats off. Everybody have fun. You know, throw shit at the wall.
Things get crazy. Vampires are fangs out. So I'm sitting there, I'm dancing, and all night I had planned when Act 3 turned over that I was going to overdose and die on the fucking dance floor, no matter what. And so, at different points before it happened, I kept going to the blood bucket. Like, I would cross my fingers, go over to the blood bucket, put my finger in, and then, like, put it in my nose. So, you know, it looked like things were getting bad, and I would keep going back until there's just blood all over my face. And, you know, eventually a vampire does approach me. Scott apparently sent her to come talk to me. And, she's like, hey, I want to get you during the, I'm planning on getting you. And I'm like, can you do it so I still have time to get to the blood shower? She's like, no problem. I'm like, I'm going to die on the dance floor. She's like, awesome. And so then we part. We're like, scene. And we go, and Ballroom Blitz starts to play. And as it's happening, it was another one of those cinematic moments where, because you were in there with me, you were right next to me.
When that happened?
When Ballroom Blitz played and you were attacked by 6 dudes, I was right next to you backing up and dying. So I start to overdose. I see some people get attacked. I'm like, oh, what's going on? I hear screaming. I'm like, what's happening? I start to shake. I start to tremble. 2 vampires start to come towards me. And I'm just like, I pass out. I fall back on the floor. And as I hit the ground on the floor, I look up. Right above me, they have just pulled out the first prop. They pulled out the hanging corpses that were just torsos with intestines hanging out. So what I see as I fall back on my ass and look up at the sky is I see it just sort of being drifted right over me. And then the two vampires come and they lean over me. So from a cinematography point of view, bloody, horrible, like dripping mess, 2 vampires leaning over, and one of them says, oh, well, you know that you're dying. Huh. Okay. And I fucking die, and they leave me there for a little bit. And while I'm laying on the floor, I sort of get to see around me. People are being dragged out. People are on the floor. You're on the floor. They take you to a corner.
Yeah, they nailed me to a wall.
They nailed you to a wall, and I'm just laying there. And eventually the girls came back and are like, hey, are you comfortable? And I'm like, yeah, just leave me here for a little bit longer, and then we can go. And she's like, okay. And, yeah, that was my Ballroom Blitz. And so, what about your guys's?
So, when Ballroom Blitz started, you know, we were dealing with our little inner circle drama stuff, and once Ballroom Blitz started happening, I kind of entered a fugue state. I was just kind of wandering around, watching everything. I was background piece to a lot of stuff because somebody had given me this occult book early on about psychic phenomena, and so I was just holding on to that and walking around, kind of just muttering to myself. And eventually, Ballroom Blitz is about to start, and a guy, I see this spooky looking guy. He's probably a Nosferatu or Gangrel or something, and he's got like this bloody chain with a hook on the end, and I'm just like, that's a hook, and he's like, yeah, you want it?
He gives it to you?
Go nuts. Have fun.
Oh.
And
here you go, kiddo.
And
no,
so
have some fun.
He gives that to me, and I'm like, okay, cool. And so, you know, Ballroom Blitz happens. I chase down one of the blood bags with a hook. That poor girl, she tripped.
Oh, no.
Was she okay?
Yeah, well, she tripped a few times from my understanding. But yeah, she runs away. She runs away. She starts running, trying to get out of the little village proper.
Yeah.
And she bumps into a vampire standing at the exit, and he's like, whoa there, hold on, turn around. And, I catch her, I hook her, I feed and do whatever. And I'm just like, wow, I just killed somebody with a hook.
Nice.
That's fucked up.
Sweet.
And so I go tell my sire that, and he's like, oh, awesome. Yeah, hell yeah, have fun. It's just a human. Who gives a shit?
Ooh.
And at this point, he had also sired, I want to say her name was Sophie, who was the head of our witch coven. And so he sired her, and he starts explaining Cain and Lilith, and she's like, from the Bible?
Ooh.
And he's like, yes, from the Bible. And she's like, okay. All right.
I love how passive aggressive she is.
Yeah. And so, and I was just like, I was kind of taking it in. I was like, okay, that's weird. I don't see how that's super relevant to what's going on, but I have heard the phrase praise Cain
a couple times at this point.
At least 600 times at this point. So I'm going to assume that's pretty important to these guys. I won't say anything right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Act 3 was a lot of, like, it was bloodshed and chaos. We're seeing stage people, like, splashing blood all over the walls, stuff like that. There's people running, and lots of chaos and mayhem. I don't remember too much else from Act 3.
Act 3, yeah, because most of Act 3 was sort of just...
Until the blood shower, which was about halfway... It was about halfway through Act 3.
Wasn't there 4 acts?
There were 4 acts.
What do you delineate it as?
Act 4 begins when he gathers everybody, right? When he gathered everybody up to the dance floor and delivered the sermon. And so the blood shower happened about halfway through Act 3.
Yeah, I'd say less than that, because I'll be real with you, after the blood shower, we had a tiny bit left to dance, like a tiny bit before Act 4 began.
Oh, okay.
So
they were probably
I'd almost
wrapping
say
up Act
that
3.
the bloodbath was the end of Act 3 and the beginning of Act 4. But what about you? Or did you have more?
No, that was about it. I'd kind of watched a lot of the chaos that went on in the dance floor area.
Yeah, did you get a good view on that?
I saw Dee hung to a wall for a little while.
Yeah,
but I also saw that while the sermon was happening.
I was in there through Act 4. Act 3 was the highlight. It was what I planned to be the highlight. I picked Bloodbag. I Live to Die. I wanted to die in that blood shower so badly.
You did.
I had to talk to the, I got grabbed by the tooth fairy and a clown. I was tortured by a clown.
How terrifying.
We've all been tortured by a clown at one time or another.
He was excellent because it was a bunch of vampires. They grabbed me. They said, hey, can we kill you? And I said, negotiation, sure, in the blood fountain. Please, I just want to die in the blood fountain. And they're like, no, we can arrange that. And so... They're pushing me around. They're like, you're gonna die. It's gonna be awful. This Chamiske tooth fairy woman is just like taunting me. And so I get up and try to run away. And I just fall. Mm-hmm. Like, they didn't make me fall. They didn't push me. I stand up, run away, and just fall. They all laugh. The clown says, hey, you really, really want to obey me. I want you to scream as loud as you can. And so I start screaming. They're all laughing. They're mocking me. They're just like pushing me around. And I'm crying. I'm bawling real tears at this point. And I turn to the clown and I say, please, am I screaming loud enough?
God, that's great.
And so they sit me down on the bleachers because the blood fountain's not coming. We don't know when the blood fountain is coming. And so we sit down, and this Chamiske, wonderful, she really bought in. She's like, no, she's gonna die in the blood fountain. It's gonna be your blood. We're gonna cut your fucking throat. And I'm crying. And so a conga line of vampires come up to me and start feeding off of me because I'm like, I turn to her and I'm like, hey, I should probably let them feed off of me, but I really don't want to die. Can we do that? And she's like, no, that makes sense. And so it is like a conga line. And a couple of them were like, no, I don't want to kill you. I just want to bite you and scare you. Mm-hmm. That's all my character wants to do. And so a conga line of vampires while I'm pinned to a bleacher and they've got my arm held out for these other vampires. It was very, very emotionally intense, and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was one of the cinematic things, and so finally, the blood shower happens, but I don't get killed by the Chimiske. I get got by the vampire that clonked me in the head while we were at the car. She comes back and she's got her fangs in now, and she's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "No, you bit me. I didn't hit my head, you bit me." And she drags me, we negotiated and everything. She drags me, hand on neck and arm, out into this dance floor, and I look around, and there's not a single person who does not have a glow stick. They're all vampires. They're all fangs out. I look, I spin around to look. There's nobody else on the dance floor. It was legit terrifying, like, to me, the realization of what I was in. And so she pushes me up against their weird altar. Was he Leroy? Like,
Leroy was the Baphomet.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Yeah. Leroy she pushes me up to the Baphomet and she makes me drink the blood. And so she makes fun of me, and then she tortures me a little bit, and she nails me to a wall.
And there you stayed.
And I stayed there, through that entire thing, screaming. I think she was a Toreador. She looked like a Bruja. I thought she was Bruja, but then she brought up somebody in a suit and was like, "Look at my masterpiece." And
maybe.
She's like, "Hey, that is really good. You've got a really good eye for this." And, like, they have this conversation where they, like, shake each other's hands. And so I end Act 3 nailed to a wall, and I can look out around the crowd of people, and I see my friends from the Harmony Circle, and they've all got fangs. I'm the only one who didn't become a vampire.
That's good.
This will be relevant for Act 4.
What else happened to you?
Act 4.
So for me, I had an experience. During Act, I think it was 2. It might have. Yeah, it was at the end of 2. I also had a run-in with Scott. So the reason I didn't overdose earlier in the night was because Scott gave me fucking Malkavian blood, which was another one of the reasons I was fucking blitzing out.
Yeah.
We had a pretty cool interaction. I got to hallucinate more than I already was. But yeah, so I get down the dance floor. So both the Tooth Fairy and this other girl that had, like, a black apron on, they both came up to me like, "Are we good?" And I was like, "As long as we're good for the dance, as long as we can come back." And so they kind of both at the same time worked together and were like, "Okay, we gave her blood." And then they both took me to the killing ground, so to speak.
To the siren pit.
That's when I first got to kind of see everything. They dumped me in there, and I got to be in there. It was a much nicer setup because you actually had to climb up to it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the tarp over the siren pits it was much better. I didn't get as much hay in my face. Yeah. That was really nice. I didn't get to hear James. Very sad about that. But I did kind of come up as a vampire, and they sort of help me out, and they both start talking to me, but they are also talking to their buds. And as soon as they're both kind of looking away, my character fucking starts to run away from them to go back into the party to find her friends and be like, "We have to go." And after I've, like, turned the corner, they're like, "Where is she at?" "Oh, she's running." And so they both start following me. And I'm like looking back. I'm like, I'm like pretend crying and, like, looking back, and, like, I'm not running very fast. And I get back. And by the time I'd gotten back, they had pulled out Leroy.
Yeah.
So I get back, and I see the thing that was up there, up in the sky, and I fucking see Leroy, and I'm like, that looks good.
So Leroy. Let's talk a little bit about Leroy.
We're gonna in editing. I'm actually gonna put a picture of Leroy up here. Leroy is terrifying.
Leroy is my best friend. He is the light and life of the party and of the Sabbat.
Yeah, so I first see that monstrosity, and I go up to it, and like a beeline, I'm like, that's all I've ever wanted. And I go, and I start drinking from it, and then the Tooth Fairy comes behind me, or maybe it was the other girl, and they're just like, "Isn't that great? isn't that just the best? And they, start ominously talking to me while I'm crying and sipping up Leroy juice. And then, after I'm nice and full off of Leroy.
The emphasis you're putting on this is frankly more uncomfortable than Leroy was.
I did not feed from a person.
You just drank from Leroy?
I sat down and I drank from the Leroy, and then I went to the intestines, and then I was like, sip, sip, and I was like drinking
like
and
a Capri Sun.
yeah, and dancing under the intestines, and that was sort of what I did until
the blood shower.
So I had waited. Like, the blood shower is the reason.
It was the selling point.
It was the selling point. I bought wig glue. I don't know if you guys, anyone who's ever had wig glue on, it is like, you ever super glue your hands together in high school? I know you have. Everyone has. Everyone's done it. I did that last week.
Elementary school.
It is literally super glue for your fucking scalp, but it dries very clear. I did that because I was going to get wet. And I didn't want my wig to get snatched. I didn't want any of that. So when they started playing the Blade dance music, and I was like,
finally.
Yeah, and they played the song from Blade. The entire idea was to replicate the scene from Blade where there's a blood rave. And they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
It was I remember the first spurt hit me in the chest, and I was like, oh, maybe I should get a little closer. I take one tiny step while still like grooving just a little bit, and it hit me in my face on my glasses, and then I realized I cannot see. So if you like on the picture that Justin Achille put on, you can see me in the bottom right corner with the white wig on. I cannot see shit. I could not open my eyes, but I sure did. Yeah. I grooved for the entire 3 minutes, I think.
It was a little longer. Yeah. It was longer than that because I had to stand there with my hands over my head. I was very aware of the passage of time. I think
they were only doing it for about a minute. Like, I think it was
it was the length of a song.
Yeah.
And it was not very long, but the entire time I was completely coated. That was some cold ass temperature.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I was like, I'll watch from the bleachers.
You're so much smarter than me.
I will watch from the bleachers because I don't want to if it was a little warmer, I might have gotten in, but I was like, no,
you were looking out for yourself.
It's too cold.
Like, not only did I get directly in the on one of the spurts, I hogged one spurt, but there was a lady there, and they were posed all around the corral who had buckets of blood and ladles, and we're like ladling the crowd, and I went up to her, and I was just like, and she was like ladling me. I don't know who you are, ladle woman, but you really did help me out. I loved when you ladled me with blood. And so by the end of that scene, I was soaked.
Yeah,
you looked so cool because your hair was white.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You said you weren't in it. Were you in it?
Yeah,
you were in the corner.
Me.
Yeah, you were in the corner.
No, they tortured me in it for a little bit, and after I'd been in the blood shower, then they nailed me to a wall.
I was having my vampire crisis because I don't believe that vampires exist. However, there are vampires.
There's
everywhere.
No way to explain.
There's no way to explain it, and so I'm just sitting there like freaking out. And I go over to the little bonfire that was set up, and I'm like, vampires aren't real. And Justin Achille is standing right there, and he's like, "Yeah, you're right." And I'm like, "What?" Yeah, you're right. It's not vampires. Cainites. Cain in the night. You're Cainites. You're not vampires. And I was like, you're right. Vampires are real.
Now,
best
Cainites
interaction with Justin Achille ever.
Yeah. And so.
Yeah, at one point, Justin Achille walked past me as I was staring at the non-Leroy mannequin and just went, man, get a load of that. And then walked into the DJ booth.
I think that's most of what he was doing. He was just in the background kind of being like, oh yeah, that sucks, huh?
Oh man, that's fucked up.
Just like enjoying
this is wild.
He did this. This is his fault. He contributed to this.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah. Look at the fruits. The fruits of your labor.
Fruits of your labor, yeah.
But yeah, so after the blood shower, that's when they they kicked everyone out of the dance floor. I sort of like went around the corner, and all the vampires went into the corral, and then they gave it was a really nice sermon.
Yeah, it was an excellent sermon.
It was a pretty good sermon of Cain. You know, they're telling people what we were born to do.
They're like, hey, you are free vampires now. You're going to do everything we say.
Yeah, and they're like, but we're not evil. Right? And then people start to laugh.
They're like, I'm a little evil.
Because their Path of the Night followers are like, dude, I'm standing right here. You're looking at me. I have a black hand on my face and my tongue is out.
Yeah, that was some crazy. And at this point, I was sitting there next to Scott's character. And, you know, I was also a Malkavian.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just...
Malks were here in force this time.
They sure were. And so, for me... I was sort of playing that at the beginning. I was going to be very emotional. I was going to laugh. I was going to cry. I was going to go through every bit of emotion. And then after that, there's nothing left in this husk of a body.
Yeah, that was my sire's derangement. He was just like, I don't feel anything.
I can't feel a fucking thing.
That's super cool. That makes all of the weird games that he played with me, because he put me and Charles kind of against each other. He was like, no, I wasn't fucking with you. No, I didn't leave. It's just an emotion thing. Because he's just fucking playing with us, because like, Charles freaks out.
It's just like, yeah, I don't feel anything.
So, I'm sitting there with him, and he's like, hey, you know, I was just looking out for you. And I'm like, I'm mad at you. You scared me earlier. And he was like, it was just because, you know, would you rather be that? And he points at the corpse that's hanging up there. And I look at it and I'm like,
a little bit.
I guess not. I guess I'm not mad at you anymore. And he's like, okay, well, I'm glad we're cool again. And I think he gave me a big wad of cash at that point.
Yeah.
And I actually started using it to dry my tears. Because, you know, Mo was actually crying because, you know, I was getting into it. I was a little bit emotional. I started to cry a little bit, and I had all this cash in my hands. And so I'm listening to the Sermon of Cain, and he's telling me about what my life is going to be like from now on because I'm cursed and damned and everybody's evil. And I start to dry my tears, my real ass tears, with a fucking fake $100 bills. I'm just like... yeah, I guess this is me now. This is my eternity. And for the rest of the night, I sure did carry around dollar bills and wipe my tears with them.
There was someone who we forgot to mention. There was a fella who came in about midway through Act 3, probably before the blood shower.
What?
The Black Spiral Dancers.
He came in after.
They showed up after the Sermon of Cain.
Yeah.
Maybe you saw them. Maybe you saw them earlier because you were a vampire way longer than any of us.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, the Sermons of Cain were after that. We had the vampire because somebody nailed me from the ground for the Sermon of Cain. I was on the ground when they delivered that.
I remember,
I remember being nailed to the wall during the werewolf fight because I started going through delirium. I'm a longtime werewolf player. I saw that Black Spiral Dancer and was like, well, let me mentally roll on the delirium chart to see what this werewolf is doing to me. But I'm screaming.
They definitely did have... So, they had these two dudes come out, and they were in... One was like Glabro.
Yeah, one was Krenos, and the other one was like in like Hispo or something like that.
Yeah. God, I cannot express to you.
Fucking...
I knew at first sight that I loved that werewolf more than anything. I knew that from the moment I saw him that I could never truly want to feed from anyone else. And the rest of the night, I sure did make every attempt I could to try to like get that guy by himself. And it just did not work. One, he can't see in the costume.
Yeah.
Two, but like he went out there and like he fought with people.
Yeah, he fought with one of the positive energy circle, Zephyr, the guy that got thrown to the ground.
They both got thrown to the ground.
The second one, I believe. Okay. The one that wasn't wearing a shirt.
Marcus.
No.
Marcus did fight him.
Marcus did fight him, but Marcus kept his shirt on.
Oh, so, fair.
Zephyr, that was one of my buds, and so he comes up and he starts fighting, and I start calling out for this guy because he's my friend, and I want him to come in and nail me from the wall so I can die. And so,
I mean, yeah,
because I got into character, and so I was kind of in that space where if somebody didn't come up to me and unnail me, it did not occur to me, oh wait, I can unnail myself and die. I was in character, and so I start calling out to this guy, and one of the referees turns and is like, you know him? Points at him. You know her? Turns back to me. Ha!
Oh, man.
And so eventually I got somebody in the crowd to come over and unnail me from the wall. And so I fell and reached out for my friend as he was walking out, called out for him, and fucking died. And I laid there.
There you fucking go, baby.
I laid there during the sermon because I was like, yeah, I feel like a dead body is appropriate window dressing for the sermon they're about to give.
Yeah. Yeah, Act 4 was the sermon, and then we
split.
Yeah, we all had to go off with our prospective packs.
How'd that go for you, by the way?
Mine was okay. We hung out, got to meet all of my pack, and my sire got me and my new sister in the blood. It kind of gave us the okay, so
the Vampo talk.
We're Malks. We don't fight. I'm sure you saw a lot of people out there fighting with their with the werewolf. Stay the fuck away from that werewolf. You guys don't need to worry about any of that. And there was a little bit of pack drama that came up. The groom of the bride was he came in, and his sire was the Inquisitor, and they didn't like each other, and so there was a potential staking that was avoided, and all kinds of stuff like that. And so, but it wasn't too much longer after that. We're all looking for the Bahari because there's a Bahari here. It's taken care of.
They had to execute my friend Charles for being a public heretic because when he was told, all right, now Lilith is the true progenitor of vampires, you're going to want to not tell that to anybody because they'll kill you for heresy, he starts telling everyone he can because that's just who my man Charles is.
And
so he got executed very publicly.
Yeah, and so that all happened. We're all kind of like wandering around trying to do some stuff. I was very fugue statey at that point. My energy was getting a little low.
Yeah.
And so I
was getting a little cold.
Yeah, it was getting really cold at that point. A lot of people are just kind of huddled around the fire because the rave has happened. Everybody's cold and wet now.
Yeah, I'm not dancing anymore.
Yeah. And so eventually we all kind of get like corralled outside of the village because that's where the monomacy pit is, and people are dueling each other and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah.
So, and that's kind of where it ended
more or less.
for you.
That's more or less where things ended for me.
You go first.
Yeah, I had another thing. Once I died, they did the sermon, and once people weren't looking at the corral, I didn't want to break immersion. Once people were out doing the Vauldery, I ran my ass out to the sanctuary tent so I could get my ghost veil.
Which is right over there in the corner.
It's right there.
Have it?
Yeah, I didn't want to throw it away. It's my ghost veil. I talked to a werewolf wearing that.
Yeah, she sure did.
And so I got the last ghost veil. And so I go out and I start finding my old friends. A couple of whom had auspex, so they could actually hear and see me. And I started going like, well, why didn't you help me? Why'd you leave me? Why would you do that to me? I called out for you. Why didn't you look at me? I know you heard me. Just going around like, you were supposed to look out for me. Why didn't you look out for me? Because I'm the literal only one in the entire circle, except for one of the members who had to leave midway through, who did not get turned into a vampire. And so once Charles got executed and it didn't make me feel any better, and I learned an important lesson about the futility of revenge, I went about and I started investigating everyone. The werewolf could hear me. I don't think he could hear me at first, but I think I bugged him so much that he decided he could talk to me. Because I orbited him, because I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out what happened to me. There's Schlachta there.
Oh,
they look great. Schlachta are disfigured Chemiske war ghouls. They don't look like people. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Why are you like this? Why are these people like this? Why did my friends turn into ravenous monsters? Ask the werewolf, hey, did you used to be a person? And he's like, people are meat. And internally, I'm like, that is the coolest fucking thing I've ever heard. You're so cool.
You're absolutely right.
Oh my god, you're the coolest guy I know.
Yeah.
And so I did meet I believe she was Malkavian, who could see me. And so for the rest of that act, I sort of hung around with her, talking to her, because another guy could see me, but he was a jerk, and he said he was going to send me to the afterlife, Wraith style. And I've read Wraith. I have no intention of courting that. I don't want to go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hung out with her for the rest of the night, and she was trying to help me move on because she felt bad for me. She was a very sweet girl, very sweet character. And so she started communicating for me with her ductus, who looked like a Nosferatu. He had bitchin' prosthetics. And so he was sitting there like, are you fucking with me? I'm pretty sure you're a Malk, answering all of my questions and stuff as she's acting as a translator. And he did a great job of not looking at me, like looking past me, while he's like supposed to be talking to me. Explained what a Schlachta was. And then one of the guys in white, he was one of the war packs.
Was he the Gandalf guy?
No, he was not the Gandalf guy, but he was wearing a white suit. We're walking past, and she's talking to someone about a ghost, and he turns around to her, and he says, "Ghosts aren't real. You're full of it." She's like, "Oh, but I'm talking to one." He's like, "Yeah, you're talking to one. Ghosts aren't real." And so we're still walking, and she asks me what I want, and I want to say, and I tell her, I want to see how the war ends. I want to see the siege. This guy turns around, makes eye contact with me, and says, "The war is already over."
Ooh. See, that's
Because he could hear me the whole time.
Aspects. He knew. He was just trying to, fuck with you. That's great. I love that.
And so that's about what happened to me. I stood around. I couldn't see the Monomacy pit because I'm very short, and so I couldn't see any of the cool stuff.
They should get some bleachers out there next time.
Definitely. So for me, I dab my tears and all of the moisture, most of the moisture off of myself with the hundies. And I actually spend the wedding, and I kind of wander away from my like, Baldery. Yeah. When they pass around the cup, like, I like wandered the fuck away.
You didn't do the Valdery?
I didn't do the Valdery.
Ruh-roh.
Well, I mean, and, half of it was because other stuff was happening, and the other half was because I was chatter shivering. I was getting really cold, and so I kind of excused myself to the fire, but also partially in my head I was like, oh well, I'm a Malkavian, I'm just obfuscating right the fuck over here to this fire, and I don't feel like drinking from this cup. I'm not religious, I don't want to fucking do this. And people definitely, other people in my pack noticed, but I think at that point everyone was like, it'll probably be okay. Because I think other people also didn't drink from it. I was so cold and just out of it that I do not remember the speech that my ductus, or my priest, gave. Mm-hmm. I cannot remember a fucking word because I was at that level of cold. So I spent some time at the thing, shivering. I'm sad because I tried to get the werewolf to notice me in the pit by offering him hundies. He didn't care. He cares not for money. He only cares for blood and murder and
the worm.
The worm. And so I was very sad about that. And so I was mourning at the thing. And then he kind of comes out and kind of goes past the pit. And I'm like, oh, here's my chance. Because at this point I'm like, okay, my character is supposed to be this weird fucking heathen now. And I'm like, human blood? I got some of that from a fountain. I'm done with human blood. I want some of that. I want a sip of whatever's going on over there. And so I can't, I'm so sorry, werewolf man. I don't know who you are. I can't call him, and I'm like, hey, why don't you come over here and give me a kiss? And he just comes over and growls, I know what vampire kisses do, and swishes the fuck away from me. And I'm like, ah.
Yeah, because he's cool.
And I turn back to the fire, and other people are nodding their head at me, and I'm like, okay. And so I just kind of spend the rest of that time
huddling for warmth.
Huddling from fire to the inside of buildings, where I'm just kind of looking around the corner. I'm like, where's he at? He's over there. All right, he'll be around soon. And I keep, like, making eye contact with his handler, like, and then I'll hide again. And so I'm just being a creep the whole time. I'm so sorry, werewolf man. I never meant to be weird. I hope... You probably did not fucking see me in that helmet. I know you didn't, because your eyes were, like, way up in the...
Yeah.
It's okay.
There's a lot of prosthetics.
Yeah.
Looked great.
He needs to kind of be led around a little bit, and so I want to apologize for something I'm sure you didn't see. So...
I mean, he had to be able to hear it because he could hear me doing my sad ghost voice.
I think he could probably hear. I don't know how well he could see.
Yeah.
He could probably see okay because he was fighting people. Like he was engaging in like.
But they were always like
stuff.
right in front of him.
Yeah.
I was not always right in front of him.
You were to the side.
I was like, I was being weird.
Yeah.
But so at this point, I'm sad. He wanders outside of the thing, and I venture out away from the warmth of the fire to stalk him. And so I go out, and that's when I see the Monomacy pit. I'm like, oh, shoot. So I go up to the Monomacy pit. I'm like, what's going on over here? And so the first fight I come in on is it's the tail end of the a little prep girl beating the shit out of her shitty boyfriend, and I recall interacting with their story very briefly. He's a real dickhole to her, and she gets back at him.
Yeah.
And I watched the end of that. I'm like, oh, okay. And so at this point, I'm like, I think you whisper around me at one point. I don't remember exactly what, but around this time...
I thanked you because you took the last sticker.
Yeah, you did give me a sticker.
And I smooched you.
Yeah, I do recall that. I was so fucked up. I was like, I don't know who that is. But at this point, I hear a girl go, ah, shit, god damn. And I look back up at the stage, and that's where the two guys got up there. And like, they're starting to take off their clothes, and I'm like...
It's cold.
It's too cold.
I got a front row seat. I wiggled my way. I was like, no. I got in there, and they took off their shirts, and God, they were so brave.
And then they had a sword fight.
They had a sword fight. The one guy had tattoos.
And they tried to blaspheme the holy rites of Cain.
Oh, who gives a fuck?
The Inquisitor.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Inquisitor can... I don't care about what the Inquisitor thinks. I only care about them fighting. They should have kept going. And so they fought. And then left. And then the dark-haired one stayed up. And then my real love, the werewolf, came and ripped that dude's fucking head off. And so I don't know exactly what that storyline was about, but that dude's sire, who was beheaded, his sire came up and started just screaming at his corpse that she was disappointed. He was a piece of shit. He's a fucking disappointment. And I'm like, man, what?
That's not nice. Being mean is not nice.
I mean, they're vampires. Being mean is not nice, but man, that guy fucking went in... I mean, one of the fastest ways to go getting his head ripped off by a werewolf, but they dragged off his body. And around that point, that's when I was like, okay. They started to light up.
Yeah, they started setting the place on fire.
They started to light it up, and I was pretty much ready to go. I saw Ryan, I saw Matthew for like the second time I got to like stand close to them, and I was like, oh my, like they were talking to me, and I was like, oh my god, guys, fucking nuts, yeah. And they're like, and you know, Ryan starts, because he has a very pedantic sort of character who just like talks a lot, and he starts talking about how he feels, and he's like, you know, the fear is gone, it's just so different now. And I'm like, wow, cool. I've kind of just been dissociating for like an hour and a half, and that's all right. And yeah, they started to laugh, and I had to hold back laughter too because I can't help it. I know that there's so many times where I'm in the middle of a scene and I physically have to stop myself from being funny, but I can't control it, guys. But at the end, they started taking pictures. I wanted to take a picture with the werewolf, but I got shy, and I regret it. But you know who got a great picture with the werewolf? Ryan Scott and Matthew. Their picture with the werewolf is like, that is a frameable picture. Oh. That is such a good picture.
It's a Christmas card.
Yes. Oh, Hey. So, that was the end. We sort of, towards the end of the night, they sure were giving out, emergency blankets.
Yeah, they were, because it was getting cold.
So cold. We eventually rounded each other up. We got our friends.
Harmony.
We found harmony. We got back into the thing, and then went back to the hotel.
Passed the
and
fuck out.
I had to dissolve glue off of my scalp. Because no amount of water was going to take that wig off, Henny.
Yeah.
So I took it off. I went to bed, and then the next day we had an amazing brunch.
Yeah, we had a nice little brunch
with the polyhedron boys, and that was so nice. I learned about grits.
Yeah, Mo doesn't like grits. I don't like grits made by anyone except my long dead Georgian grandfather, and these still living Georgian men also like grits, but not the grits we ate.
Grits are like sand that you can put butter on. And I suppose I appreciate that in a lot of ways. But we got to eat, and then they went to head home, and I was so glad I got to say hi to them. I did see McKenna so briefly during the game. We had a very brief interaction where I was resting at a table, and she came up to me. And I'm like, you're wearing an awful white dress for this day. And she's like, it's the nicest dress I own. I'm like, oh, well, don't get it dirty.
I interacted with McKenna a bit. I gave her character one of my stickers, and I talked about how because she got me while I was alone, and I was like, I'm just trying to hang out by myself because I'm having some sort of nervous breakdown, and I don't want to make all of the people like you who are in this corpse paint that must have taken so much time. She's a vampire. That must have taken so much time. I don't want to ruin y'all's night because I'm chicken shit.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh yeah? And I'm like, yeah, you look really good, by the way. Your makeup's super cool. And she's like, oh yeah, thanks.
But yeah, I was happy I finally got to meet everyone.
Yeah.
Aside from that, we went home, and guys, I got so fucking sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was inevitable.
Did you get sick?
I didn't get sick.
That's unusual. Usually you get sick.
Usually I'm the one to get sick, but
I was already sick and I got sicker.
I think choosing to not go into the sprinkler was probably my saving grace that day.
Coward.
Do you think not getting absolutely soaked and then standing outside in 30-degree weather helped you not get sick?
Might have been it.
Wow, because I would never have thought of that. Because I sure did get fucking sick. About a day after the event, I was out. I missed work.
I expected to get sick, but it didn't happen.
I'm still honestly recovering.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It has been a month, and I am still coughing. So whatever sort of superbug the night in question has, it's fucking powerful.
I mean,
Vampirism.
that just happens to me every time I get sick.
Every time you meet people.
I get sick, and then my cough sticks around even when I'm no longer sick.
But I used to have a superhuman immune system. It's gone now.
Yeah.
But so altogether, I'd say the experience was very different for me from the first night in question. The first night in question was an incredibly intimate, almost romantic experience because I got to spend so much time with Dylan because vampires, I got noticed by a vampire immediately and then kind of spent the whole time hanging out with my new vampire friend. In this one, I didn't know my sire. I don't know their name. I know nothing about them. And so the sort of becoming a vampire portion wasn't as I think
resonant.
Yeah, as it was the first time. Dylan was excellent. My time at my first night in question, I owe to Dylan being such a good role player. At this one, I do definitely feel like the thanks for the good time was spread out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything to complain about for this one.
Yeah.
I'd say that the only things that I didn't have I struggled finding purpose towards the end of the night. I probably could have been fine if I wasn't so bloody cold. But I missed that wedding. My character would have loved that wedding shit. But I just was physically not prepared to deal with that cold. So the end of the night for me was the worst part of the night. There wasn't a lot for me to do once. Like, I feel like once Act 4 begins, after your Valdery happens, it very much so is vampires solving their conflicts. And I didn't build enough, like, ties with other characters that I could see through in the final act. So that I feel like I suffered for. What about you?
This year was all around better than last year as far as experiences go. And that was due in part to my awesome group. Setting the ties with them beforehand ended up being a godsend. And then also my sire was awesome. My pack was pretty cool. I didn't interact with too many people outside of my sire and my pack, but my pack, they were all like, they were there and we were having a good time. I think eventually I got to the point where I was like, I'm pretty cold and I'm pretty tired and I'm about ready. And that's where things more or less ended for me, was once we got corralled out to the Monomacy pit.
Yeah. I still haven't finished my player survey. I'm bad. But I feel like the reason I didn't finish it is because I don't
have any complaints to motivate me. There's nothing that I feel needs to be said because there's nothing that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, I feel like anything that I didn't have fun with was either due to circumstances beyond anyone's control or me not making a better decision in character ties and stuff like that. And so I haven't finished my survey. I think the only thing I could possibly say on the survey is there sure were a long line always for the single porta potty. And I don't know if there was another one in a different location.
There was another one. It was outside though.
Was it?
Yeah.
I did not see that one.
It was out there.
There was quite a line at the Porto John.
Luckily for me, the only time I needed to go to the restroom, it was like right as the blood shower was ending, and so everyone was already way over there.
You didn't have to wait in line?
I was just like in and out real quick.
But yeah, I didn't have any complaints about the lighting. Last year there was a little bit of struggle with the lighting outside of the corral or outside of the village. This year that was solved. There was more than enough lighting. I had no sort of issue with that whatsoever. And so any of the complaints I had from last year
were addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jackalope did great.
Yeah. There was an actual light in that porta potty that wasn't a glow stick. Thank God, because that first time with those it wasn't a glow stick. It was like one of those LED candles. And it sure was going out. I'm like, this is like a nightmare being trapped in this terror dark porta potty. There's screams happening. Man, that's not a good scene. But yeah, so I had a good time. I want to thank, Matt Webb and the Jackalope Studios and everyone who helped. And there's people out there doing photography. There was people out there like helping with props and scenes, and every single one of them, thank you so much, because there was so much stuff that wouldn't have been possible. You guys tended fires. You guys were amazing. And
great stage ninjas.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I want to thank the photographer, the guy who put up all those pictures.
Logan the Red.
Logan the Red?
Yeah.
Logan the Red, you're a dope dude. Those pictures are so great. I have a whole bunch of them. I'm keeping them. Sometimes I look at them and go, bad angle, but God, I sure do have good hair. And I can't deny that. So, thank you. I recall in the polyhedron one, they're like, hey, we could stop sucking Matt Webb's dick now. And they're like, yeah, we'll stop. We'll stop here in a second.
Yeah, well, we have no such compunctions here at Duets with Dice. Hi, Matt Webb.
Hi, Matt Webb. Every once in a while I see you. We wave at each other. It's nice seeing you. I can't wait to be at Elysium Chronicles. Will I come to the next night in question?
If I can be a vampire.
If I can be a vampire.
Yeah, if I can be a vampire.
So I'm genuinely thinking about putting
saving
money together.
up for the war pack.
But the thing is...
We would need a fourth, at least.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's 5 maximum for the war pack, yeah?
Yeah, well, if we can do 5, awesome.
We'll have to find 5 nerds. So, I definitely feel like if I have experienced all of the human experiences, I feel. Yeah. I got to feel a very special sort of relationship with my vampire dad, and then I got to party hardy, overdose on a dance floor, get dragged around, and then dance in a blood shower. So I've had pretty much every experience it's possible to have.
Except for being a vampire.
For being well, I mean, yeah, as a human.
Yeah.
And so now that's the only thing I want. However, that really depends on when Elysium Chronicles is coming out. Because let me tell you something.
You prioritizing that one?
If I have to choose between going to the night in question, which I would have been 2-3 times at that point, or Elysium Chronicles, I kind of want to do a more political parlor style, sort of interaction with this system, more so than I want to brutalize people, because I
want to be a vampire, but I don't know. It's a
lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility, and I don't know how I would balance out my tendency to burst into real-life actual tears at the slightest provocation.
Be a Malkit.
Nice. Ryan had suggested that too, and that I didn't necessarily need to be a Malk. There was a lot of emphasis on Kane's purity of emotion in the speeches that we heard.
You could probably do that.
So I did. So I thought about doing something like that, being like, no, it's okay that I'm crying. I'm pure of emotion, like Kane, who was so pure of emotion he told God to get fucked and didn't obey God. Now obey us.
Yeah, and so I'm glad I went. If anybody wants to go do it. Do it.
Yeah, do it.
If you are a little afraid.
Very recommended.
If you're a little bit afraid about maybe getting turned into a vampire at any point, be a blood bag.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
I'm very anxious.
Was a blood bag, and it was a amazing experience.
Yeah.
It's also a lot cheaper if you be a blood bag.
Yeah, it was like $40.
They always need blood bags.
Always. You will not get turned away at the door for there not being enough tickets if you're a blood bag. They want you there, and like as a whole, if you've never done anything like this, we want you there. This is an interactive game. It is more fun with more people, and we want you to be there, and we want you to be comfortable, and we want you to come back, because that's how you get fun fucking stories. And so, thank you, Matt Webb. Thank you, Jackalope.
And thank you, listeners.
Thank you, listeners, for listening to like 2.5 hours of us in the closet.
It is actually very warm in here.
Yeah,
there are 3 people in here.
You guys are little babies. This is how it is every time. And I'm a big man, and I have hair on my chest, and I'll see you guys.
That's what you're signing out on.
That's what we're leaving on?
That's what we're signing out on.
Hi, I'm a big man. I have hair on my chest, and the next episode of Duets with Dice will be out in the next month.
Okay. You can follow me on Twitter at Corp Geomancy. The link will be in the description. You can follow us collectively at Duets with Dice
at Twitter.
On Twitter. What about you, Mo?
You can see me most of the time at Sweet and Sour Mo at Twitter. Yeah. What about you, D?
Okay, you can see my art at D Overton on the Twitter. The link will probably be provided. This is my closet that we're recording in.
Yeah, this is the friend's closet. You know, we always talk about our friend's closet. This is the friend's closet.
This is the friend of whom's closet
we are hijacking.
The web grows ever tighter around our deep lore.
All right. Well,
thank you for having me.
See you again next year for something like this.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.